Okay. I invited her like 3 times. Oh, Bill declined. It says it will be rejoining.
Okay. Let's just keep working on getting her in, okay? All right, calling this meeting to order. Please stand for flag salute.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of June 10th, 2024 was included in the list of meetings notice sent to the Hunterdon County Democrat and Courier News on January 3rd, 2024, posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall on that date, and has remained continuously posted as required. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the Borough Clerk. Prior to the roll call, I just want to say that Councilwoman Fusaro was excused. Her mother passed away suddenly on Thursday, and I'm sure all of our hearts go out to her. So she will not be at the planning board meeting tomorrow night or at this meeting tonight. So roll call, please.
Sure. Councilwoman Engelhardt here. Councilman Levitt
here.
Council President Long
Here.
Councilman Parker
Here.
Council Vice President Rossetti and Mayor Parham.
I'm here.
Rossetti's
council.
Oh, there she is. Okay.
Here she is. Hello, Councilwoman.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry about the connection issues. I'm here.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. The first work session is an error on this agenda, so just cross that out. We're going to go right to reports. So I have a few things. I already talked about Adrian's loss. I'm really sorry about that. I just want to give congratulations to both Maureen and to Carla, who will be celebrating their 1-year anniversaries. It's just passed.
Huh?
I think Maureen's just passed.
No, because she started after me.
She covered for you at the first meeting.
That was July.
Okay. So
she's like,
it's amazing that it's already a year.
I know.
That's amazing.
Time flies when you're having fun.
That's right. So a couple of pieces of business that I wanted to share with all of you. I just wanted to briefly talk about the parking committee. Everything that's happening in the parking committee is basically privileged and confidential as we're working through the issues of the traffic parking issues that are going to be caused by the Union Hotel, and the fact that our traffic consultant, Jay Troutman, and Mike Campion, our DPW superintendent, and I did a massive drive around to see what was actually going on in town, which has resulted in a number of really good things and positive possibilities by our traffic consultant as they've become very firm and reviewed by the chief of police and Jay. I will be bringing them here. Hopefully there'll be a full report coming out. We've met 3 times. We have another meeting in July prior to our next meeting. But 2 things that came out today that I wanted to just bring to your attention. One is the North Main Street light, which has been an issue for a long time. And Jay Troutman investigated that light and the possibility of making a left turn traffic light, which runs about $200,000 for that new light fixture. When Jay was exploring the light, he found out that the timing is completely off, and it is something that he can address himself. So he is certifying, he's going to certify the timing is incorrect as a traffic engineer, which has to be documented, and then he's going to have the timing fixed. So that will allow many more cars to get through Moran Boulevard, Park Avenue, and get, because right now people just can't make a left turn onto Main Street from Moran Boulevard. The other thing he found was that the detection, what's it called, Jerry? The detection?
The sensor.
Thank you. The detection sensor, which is a loop in the street on both the North Main Street and the Church Street, Broad Street traffic lights are broken. So those are supposed to detect when traffic actually shows up at the light and then switch over. Right now, they're not working. So it's not allowing enough cars to get through Fran because it's just automatically going into its north, south, east, west pattern. Same thing with Church. It should be allowing traffic to continuously get through Church Street and only switching over to Broad if there's actually cars on Broad, but it's again automatically going into this pattern. So my campaign has contacted our traffic company that handles those lights to get prices on fixing the sensors because it is not in budget this year. But again, the timing on North Main Street it's going to be addressed as fast as possible. And that's an issue for you, Council President. So I want you to know that Jay believes that this can be addressed without spending a couple $100,000 in left turn lanes between fixing the sensors, which I think my campaign said it was about 12,000, he thought.
That was the cost for the sensors and the
that was the cost for the
pedestrian
new,
costs
not
too.
fixing anything.
Right.
Okay, so that's one. The other thing today that was unanimously agreed upon was that the Williams Broad Street stop should go four-way, and that should be changed into a four-way stop. If any of you drive that four-corner area, you know that if you're sitting there looking north on Broad, you can't see around cars that are parked there. And so Jay and Jerry looked at it and are of the mind that we can make that into a four-way stop immediately and then make the parking spaces south of William Street on Broad compact cars only and return a parking space to Broad. Because right now, the parking space that's in front of Giselle's house, as we all just call it, it's like 25 feet away from the corner because it's the only way to get sight distance. But if it's a four-way stop and it's compact cars only, we can return a parking space back and people will be able to see what's coming because everybody will be able to stop. So I did ask Chris to write 2 ordinances. My campaign has already sent him the information for introduction at our July meeting. One will make it a four-way stop. The second one will say compact cars only. At those first 2 parking spaces south of William Street. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, so that'll solve a couple problems so far, and we have like a lot. There's a huge list of things that we're working through, especially Jerry and Jay, as they, like I said, as they're investigating them and solidifying plans. I'll be bringing them to you slowly, and then hopefully towards the end, much faster. The other thing I sent very last minute tonight, only because I was here in this building until 4:30 this afternoon, just about, is a cost proposal from PS&S, our architects at the police building. Angela, our architect, is online now to answer any questions. So as they've been working through getting the permits in order and the construction documents and everything else to do this phase of the police building for the processing center, we all know that there is a sewer issue in that building in the basement that was known by prior mayor and not disclosed to the council of serious backups down there. There was a belief that it was only caused by a main that our DPW superintendent said is too small to handle this building, even when it was an office building and only had 6 people, let alone 19 policemen and secretary and visitors and alleged criminals and whatever. So we all are aware and discussed putting in a new main. We're doing the survey. The survey's been done back there. We're getting an easement to run a new line. Bill Hans, our CFO, identified taking the funds right out of the capital account, not doing the bond, just paying in cash for that. But as they've been doing this whole the building review to get going, it was discovered that there's a secondary or probably possibly a primary reason for the backups in the building in the basement, which is that we run a gravity feed sewer system, and the line out of that police department is flat. There is no gravity. So if you don't have gravity to drive it out, which the new line will fix, whenever the engineering of all of that is done in the easement. But in the meantime, there is really no sanitary way to flush a toilet in that basement because of the flat line. So the proposal is that we need to design a temporary fix, which could last as long as a year until that new line is put in. The way this whole easement thing is going with lawyers, no offense to you, it's not your fault. It's the
Change, yes.
it's the easement person from whom we are trying to acquire the easement. It's more of an imperative for us than him. And so the temporary quote fix is to do a pit and a pump so that the sewage is collected and pumped out. Angela's nodding her head. If I'm not getting this right, you better cut in and tell me I'm not getting it right. I did talk to our special projects engineer, who is the project engineer for that sewer line over there, asked him what was going to happen to this pit and the pump. He said it would be abandoned in place and held for emergencies if something happened to the sewer line, if there was a backup or a clog or anything. So there is no way for our contractor to give us a price on what that change order will cost because it's got to be designed. PSNS has put in a proposal late this afternoon of just a few dollars over $8,000 to do the design and the drawings. Bill is on if he wants to opine on where we would get the money, and then the council, Angela is on to answer any questions. I mean, that's all I got. That's all I got. It's the gift, as Bill said to me the other day, the building is the gift that just keeps giving. So we're not in business ever going to.
I am going to add one thing, Marcia, that we would also be designing the connection to the future line as well. So that's included in there.
Okay. So the 8,000 is
Okay.
to the
out to the back.
Any questions for Angela?
Yeah, quick one. How long does the pit and pump system last?
Well, I guess it depends what kind of pump you get, but we're planning on getting something that's going to maintain what you need for, a duration, knowing that it's going to be minimum a year. But I mean, I've used pump as well as in a residential location as well, and it's lasted quite a long time. So I don't think that should be the issue. It's just making sure that we're providing the right pump for the amount of sanitary pumping that is going to be required. But the other piece is that the pit is going to be concrete. So that's going to be, it's not just dirt. So just if that helps.
Thanks.
Okay.
This is going to be a fun job itself.
No, do you have any idea, Angela, in your experience?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Any idea with your experience on what the pit and pump might cost?
I don't know. I really don't.
But you can estimate from the number of hours that is on this proposal that we sent this afternoon, that you've got about 16, you've got about 40 hours for the week's worth of work. That's their work on the contract.
That's just our work. Yeah.
I understand that. So the 40 hours tends to be approximately for architects between 8 and 12% of the construction cost. So
I see where you're going. So it's about 100,000. You're estimating about
100,000. So does that sound like a ballpark big ballpark figure will not hold you to it. I'm just, you have.
I don't want to put a number down, not knowing as he starts to look at things. And that building, like you said, is the building that keeps on giving. And I don't want to open up and just say, oh yeah, that's about it, without us going in and taking another look now that everything's open and we can see where everything is and understand. Because I know that we're trying to do a direct line out to the rear, and that's the plan, is to go from the mechanical out through what isn't in scope at the moment, that one room that I think potentially might be a conference room at some point, straight out that way. I don't know if they're going to encounter anything going out straight in that direction. So
Because to pay for all this.
And
what's that?
She was saying maybe there was a treasure chest to pay for.
Yeah. So, if I could answer it, I would. I just am hesitant to do that.
That's fine. I appreciate that. I just wanted to kind of back into the numbers that I'm
Yeah,
seeing.
no, I understand.
Okay. I think that 1 week's time is reasonable. You have to coordinate with the MEP and infrastructure. So I just want to understand, the pit and pump is temporary until the sewer line is finalized, correct?
That is yes.
Okay. I know that you touched upon this at some previous meetings that we've had, just in general about this building. In general, has it cost us more than the $5 million that you had estimated, that when I had first talked to you at a public meeting earlier this year, to build from scratch a new building versus like, are we close to 2.5 mil at this point for this renovation?
Well, I don't know that you would be. It's at 591, right? The bid currently, right, as it stands.
Yeah, I'm trying to add up all the bids together basically in my head really quick, and you know the numbers better than myself. The reason why I'm asking is I just want to make sure that a renovation still is costing less than the estimated 5 million that you had mentioned earlier this year for like a brand new building from scratch.
I would think at this point, yes, you're still under 5 million.
That's,
I
that's
don't even think our even if you include our fee, you're still under way under 5 million.
That's what I just wanted to understand. Great,
Yeah.
that's it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Park on the road anyway.
All right, so there's a consensus, Bill. You're on mute right now, but $8,000, you'll take it from where to certify it? You have to take him off of mute, Carl?
Yes. Bill, you're on mute. Yeah, I don't think I can.
You can ask me.
Yeah. Bill, can you unmute?
Okay, well, I can't, I'm on your. Okay, well, all right, well, maybe he'll come in at some point, and otherwise, is there a consensus to move forward on this business?
Yes.
Okay, I guess I need a motion to engage PSNS to do the design for the pit, the pump, and the hookup for the extension of the new lateral. You had a proposed amount of $8,076. Is that firm, Angela, or is that a not to exceed price?
That's a not to exceed, that's a not to exceed price.
Not to exceed 8,000, I believe it's 76. Doing that from memory. If anybody's got it in front of them, correct me. Can I have a motion for that, please?
Slow move.
Is there a second?
Will second.
Any other discussion? It's money. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yep. Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilman Levis,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Thank you. Angela, other than that, you have anything you want to tell us about how the building's going or what you think of the contractor?
No, he's very responsive. You know, we've been working back and forth and trying to solve anything that comes up, and this was the one thing that came up. Otherwise, he's been very proactive. I'll you know, and we've had a good rapport, so that's always good.
Okay. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Angela, I think I read that the bulletproof glass is it 12 to 16 week lead time, or is it more?
Yeah. No, I
so-
think that's about right. Yeah, it's a long lead time. So we'll need to circle back on those and schedule and but we'll keep asking them to see if there's any change in the lead time.
Thank you so much for being available tonight, Angela.
You're welcome. Have a good night. Thank you so much.
Okay, we have council members report, council presidents.
Sure. All right, so a couple of things. OEM, the Atlantic hurricane season began on June 1st. The office would like you to be aware of the hazardous weather does impact Flemington residents on a regular basis. While we can't stop the onset of natural hazards, there are steps you can take to increase your safety. Here's what you can do. Stay informed. Use credible websites like National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center to get information. Please sign up for Flemington Local Alerts at historicflemington.com and follow Flemington Borough's emergency management page update for updates specific to the borough. Discuss plans. Talk to the family members about evacuation plans and locations. Consider those who might need extra assistance due to age or disability. Gather emergency supplies. Assemble essential items, many of which you already have at home. Remember, the precautions you make for hurricanes will also help you survive other types of natural disasters. On or around June 12th, the Chesapeake Bay helicopters will be returning to the JCP&L region to begin performing routine patrols on all transmission lines. These inspections are expected to take approximately 1 week to complete. However, any storm or outage-related patrols could prolong completion. The helicopter being used is the Bluebell 206 Jet Ranger. A routine visual patrol is a general inspection of the structures, conductors, and all associated hardware to the transmission line or lines, where the onboard inspector is looking for any outstanding issues or immediate threats to the reliability of the transmission line. Helicopter may also be seen hovering and recirculating to get a closer look at any problems that may be found during these patrols, so don't panic. Fire. So far, we've had this year 114 calls for service. And I've got a couple of May numbers for you. There are 25 total incidents. Here are some, not all of the types of calls the fire department responded to. We had 2 cooking fires that were contained, 2 gas leaks, 2 smoke scares, 3 smoke detector activations that proved to be unintentional. There was no fire, and 2 electrical shorts. The fire department has had 1 member successfully complete his basic firefighter training, and they are awaiting the certification from the state for him to assume full duties as an active firefighter. So some good news on the volunteer front. Tonight, we recognize June as Pride Month in the borough. The Pride flag will fly on the flagpole outside Borough Hall for the duration of the month. Through this practice that was enacted a few years back, we simply acknowledge and celebrate our town's collective diversity. Folks in the LGBTQ plus community are members of our families, our friends, our coworkers, our bosses, and our fellow citizens who have their freedom and liberty enshrined by our founding declaration to pursue life, liberty, and happiness that some of us take for granted. And that is my report.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry. Sure. On the fire calls, how many were those? You said there were 124?
It's for the whole year. That was so far this year.
So how many of those were actually Are those all in the borough?
No, it's cold. Like some of these were out in rare touch.
We know how many were in the borough.
I don't have those specific numbers.
I'm just curious. to see
Yeah,
how-
certainly. Yeah.
Okay. Council Vice President Rossetti?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick reminder, there is a shade tree meeting this Wednesday, June 12th at 7 p.m. That's all for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Parker?
I don't really have anything. I will say that I participated in the historic tours, outdoors. It did go kicking and screaming. But I have to say, it was actually really, really well done. People actually do come in and they actually are very, I would say that they're actually very honored to actually be invited into your house, which I thought was really kind of cool. And I would say that for those people who are on the fence about it, I would say just try it. It's actually, it actually turns out to be to let you know that all your efforts that you did to your house were not in vain. That people really do appreciate it. I will also say this is that we have to give kudos to both Robin and Allie because what they have been working on over the last month is just phenomenal. They are actually doing an inventory of all the businesses in the borough, as well as tracking down the landlords, as well as tracking down the vacancies, so that there is an actual database, which is one of the things that we really need to have. And I think it's a huge task. I'm really pleased. I mean, congratulations to you guys on that. That's a huge deal. So that's what I have.
Okay. Councilman Levitt?
Yeah, on the house tours, those went great, like you said. Thank you to everybody that volunteered, everybody who opened their homes, like Councilman Parker, the HBC CERT team, and of course everybody who visited. I think we had about over 500 people come to Flemington that day, so went really well. Yeah, it was huge. Also, related to the HBC, we now have an online application available through the SDL portal. So if you are going to do any work to the exterior of your home within the historic district, you can now submit an application online instead of filling out and scanning the PDF. Next HBC meeting is next Wednesday, the 19th at 7 p.m. right here. Also, of course, I want to say Happy Pride Month as well. I just want to shout out a local group, the Flemington QTs, that are putting on a bunch of wonderful events right here in Flemington and throughout Hunterdon County for Pride Month. I highly recommend that any interested residents check them out. You can find them on Instagram at Flemington QTs. And let's see, the BioBlitz is happening on Saturday, the 22nd into the 23rd. The kickoff event will be at 12 p.m. at Flemington DIY, and you can register online at the Flemington DIY website. If you search Flemington BioBlitz, it should be the that pops up.
Okay, can you also
yes.
tell us what site they settled on?
If you'll give me just a second to pull it up real quick, I will pull up the map. But BioBlitz is just it's a 24-hour event, starting on 12 p.m. one day, going into the next day, and it's just an opportunity to using an app called iNaturalist, where we all get together and find as many critters, creatures, plants, fauna, fungus, bacteria, whatever living things you might find in the borough. It's solely contained to the borders of Flemington Borough itself, and just kind of taking an inventory of what's here and what we find.
I have the website.
Yeah.
That's helpful. It's FlemingtonDIY.org/BioBlitz.
Right. The question is where, because there was a lot of discussion about where they were going to blitz.
Yeah,
and we had some property owners turn them down. There's a liability.
It takes you to the register site.
Okay.
And I believe that.
If you'd like, I can send you the map.
Oh no, I would like for the public. It was really public.
I mean, public sites. The only thing I would advertise really is like Tuckamurgan. I wouldn't advertise it. They'll be sending out groups essentially.
Yeah.
They're not really encouraging people to go on their own to like the private property that they have permission for. I can tell you certainly that Woodbury Village do not go there. But feel free to check out your own backyard, public sidewalks, don't stand in the middle of the road.
I understand the last thing Georgia Long wants right now is some rare turtle we found
Yeah.
on the window.
But if you sign up, you can register online, you should register. And they'll let you know where you can and can't go. That's it.
All right, thank you, Trent. And Councilwoman Engelhardt.
Thank you. Yeah, the dreaded box turtle's been tormenting construction sites for decades here in New Jersey. I do want to add that the BioBlitz, I think, is a really great opportunity to have a hands-on experience for kids to understand what a science experiment is essentially and collecting data. So really encourage parents to get as many kids out there as possible to experience a real life scientific experiment. It's a great experience for them. I had 4 items on my agenda. First of all, the Samuel Fleming House. We as the Samuel Fleming House can't thank the HPC enough. It is very rare that we would get to have the opportunity to have 400 or so visitors in Samuel Fleming in a matter of 6 hours in one day, and for them to experience that and have that kind of exposure. So I just want to thank the FCP and HPC for organizing that event. Tomorrow at Samuel Fleming House, there is yoga at 6:30 in the beautiful garden. We got a lot of compliments from visitors about the garden, and it's there all summer, so please take advantage of it. I do want to remind everybody between now and our next meeting, our local public schools will be out. So please be aware. I don't want to speak for the chief, but please be aware that children will be in and around town, not during their necessarily normal commuting hours. So please make a point to be aware of your surroundings as you're driving around. I want to make an announcement that we received a $73,000 recreation grant from DCA. I had applied for this a few months ago, and Councilwoman Rossetti and I worked very hard on this. The maximum amount you were allowed to ask for was $100,000. We asked for $100,000. This is what we got, but we're really thrilled and ready to get to work. I just want to take a minute to thank Julia Whitley, who was very, very helpful in writing it. Council President Long, Mayor Carroll, Carla, you were fantastic. Bill Hant was really helpful. My champion, Beth McManus, and Ed, our tax assessor, they all were very helpful, especially last minute. So thank you for that. We're looking forward to getting some fresh new recreation equipment. Included in that is should be some upgrades to both the soccer field and the basketball, which really suffered over COVID. The whole park did. So I'm excited to be able to get some equipment in, and that's kind of the first step of what I know Liz and I had some big goals for the Parks Committee. So this was a great one. So thank you for that. And then finally, I just had a comment about the construction that's obviously starting again around town with the warm weather. I know that Elizabeth Town Gas has another round, the other half of the town this summer. Revex is obviously working a lot around town.
Elizabeth Town Gas is not the summer, I think it's next summer.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
I thought last year you said that it was the second half of the.
That there's going to be a second part, but
right.
I think that I think it's been moved, but
neither here nor there.
Right.
Any construction work that's in the barrel. Last summer we had some kind of email blasts to the whole council, kind of warning us that it was coming, because a lot of us I literally got stopped in the street on Thursday morning. So if we could use that same protocol again this summer with just the updates to the council members, because I would have been happy to post it on the Facebook page last minute. Carla can put it on the website so that we have some communication I think, last night went really well. All of my neighbors moved their cars, and no matter what time of night it was, I saw everybody move their cars really late. So I think as long as there's a little bit of warning, you know, neighbors are
Are
willing.
you talking about the road construction that happened last Thursday?
Well, that's what prompted my comments, but I'm just saying in general, like that protocol we had last summer worked really well. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I used to get that from Mike. So
Right.
maybe I'll talk to him and then I can put on.
Because I do agree with you, last Thursday was
Yes.
a conundrum because there was no warning.
Yeah.
We were actually running.
You're being that,
We've
yeah.
actually
had
running-
claims that they hand delivered to
Now,
everybody.
they absolutely did not. They did for Monday.
Right.
For today, but they did not for last week.
Right.
Because I was running to catch a flight and couldn't get out of the driveway and had to call my champion to like execute it like immediately. So I do agree with you that at the very least, RE/MAX needs to be held accountable to make sure that they are absolutely putting things in people's door or whatever before that date. Today was helpful because we got home late last night, but we knew that we needed to move the cars out if we need to get out. But last week there was no warning at all, like none. Not even on Bloomfield.
There wasn't anymore. Yeah, and I know that you and Adrian received emails late Wednesday afternoon.
No.
Well, that's what Mike said, very late, but it wasn't any time for you to act, even if you could, right? What was also helpful that wasn't done on Thursday was the notices from DPW right on the street. So, like I said, yesterday was much better.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah,
I agree with
include
you.
that in the future.
I definitely agree with you.
Thanks. Anything else? That's it.
Okay,
Bill's on.
What?
Bill's on.
Bill's back.
Oh, okay. So hang on one second with Bill. So I just want to also mention the fireworks. We are having fireworks on July 3rd.
Yes.
Marcane managed to raise all the money we needed, I think. Can we get something on the website? There's nothing on the website about it.
I asked him to do a little blurb.
Well, we just need to get it on the website. We're having fireworks. Hello, Bill.
I can now.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, you?
Thank you for calling in. Quick question regarding the police building and the $8,000 design for what will probably be our first change order for this pit and pump. Where the $8,000, where are you going to take it from? Just so I know, we all know where you're going to certify it from.
So right now it's coming out of the sewer, the budget out of the sewer. I didn't know where else we should charge it. I did find that there were some charges that we completed that came in under, like SSP Architects, and there was another one. So that actually freed up about $4,000 in the capital line for the building. So we could always charge there also.
Okay. I know that my champion, can't remember who else, was looking, if the county has that grant application that's due later this month for municipalities. And I can't remember where we originally were talking about writing it for, but this might be the project we write for, like fast, because I don't, if you want to talk to Mike about it, because I don't know where originally we were talking about a number of places to apply for, because you can't apply for more than $100,000. So, they've been, what's the word I want to use? Overtly kind about wanting to help us with the police building if they can. So this may be the right project to just say, we have this emergency with this, pit and pump thing, but we won't have a cost estimate probably for at least 2 weeks, right? Because Angela needs a week. The council approved the money for tonight based on you certifying funds. She needs a week to design it, which takes us to the end of next week. And then the contractor is going to need time to design, to take her design and figure out the cost estimate for a change order. So I think that the application date is like the 20-something of June. So, maybe
Can we get our borough engineer to perhaps give us do some research and give us a cost estimate? That would at least be A minimum amount of
One more
square
cheat
footage to submit for the grant.
Yeah, one more, I think more two sheets, excuse me. I think part of this was looking at using some of that money for the line, the sewer line. I think he was working on, I think Mike was gonna reach out to him, so, because this project is his project, because he's started the
You're
whole
saying
sewer
a
line
civil
stuff.
engineer might be able to do a
Yeah.
cost estimate.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, that isn't exposed to you're not exposing it to the contractor, so
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
not
yeah.
biasing the contractor. A civil engineer should be able to do those estimates,
Okay.
and at least you'd have a scope of work and cost that you could use for the grant application that's due near the end of June. Even if you don't have the estimate from the contractor.
Bill, do you want
themselves.
to talk to Mike about this, or you want me to call him tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll talk to Mike and I'll loop Rob in too to see if he has any ideas.
Okay, maybe they can create a project for up to 100,000 to get us money for this pit, you know, from the county, from their little, this grant
Is
program.
Where do we have the application so I could see what the requirements are? Is it
Yeah.
online? Or?
It is, it's at the Freeholders website, county commission.
All right, we'll look at it.
Okay, thank you. And then the other thing I just wanted to say about, congratulations about the grant, Liz and Susan, for the recreation for the park. I think that the council, you know, I looked at the application. There was a lot in that application. You applied for the 100,000, you got 73, but you know, just be mindful that the council has to approve whatever. It's not your money to spend. I guess that's the nice way to say it. It's the council's money. So there was a whole list of things, and I think that the council should see the verbiage of that grant and weigh in on how it should be spent.
Yeah, I think the process is we're required to do get together as a subcommittee. Mike Campion and Liz, myself, and then pare down that scope of work. I also have to resubmit it officially into that the website of the DCA website, because you have to now reflect the 73, not the 100. So part of that scope of work included in that application is we will meet, we will set an agenda, we will set a scope of work, and then of course it needs to come back to the council. So that's already in the timeline that was described.
When does that do?
I put an 18-month timeline in there.
No, when do you have to meet by, and when do you have to resubmit that by?
You know, I don't remember. I just remember that I had yeah, I don't remember if there was a timeline for a first meeting. I just put a timeline in there saying we will meet, you know, they asked for a schedule, I gave them a schedule, and the total schedule was about 18 months. Yeah, so I took into account any public.
Yeah, no, I'm more interested in when you guys meet and you come back with recommendations to the council and they have to approve those recommendations. That to me is the first step.
Yeah, I can give you a copy of the schedule, and you know, it's just a goal. It's certainly fluid, it could change.
Okay. Okay, great, thank you. All right, so we're up to public comment session number 1. Anybody from the public wishing to address the council on any matter, you can come up to this microphone. We need name and address for a record, and online. Raise hand, please. And I'm limiting people to 3 minutes for public comment, including you, Robin.
Always.
I have to.
Good evening, Robin Rakitis, Flemington Improvement District. So I have brought you our new VIP coupon book, which we gave to the 500 plus people who came to the house tours. It actually has coupons of great value, including a schedule and t-shirts that are $5 off at the Very Hot Corn, Tomato, and Beer Festival. And I mean, hot in terms of exciting, not that it's going to be blisteringly warm that day. Yes. And anyway, so you're all VIPs in my book, and everyone who's here tonight is welcome to take one.
Everybody here gets one.
Exactly. I also brought you this. This is a new version. I'll remove the old ones that you have, but this is the Central New Jersey project, of which we are a part of. It's called Discover Central New Jersey, and Flemington has a nice chunk on the map with they're limited to agritourism businesses, so we're not allowed to have some of my favorites, but we do have the more agritourism focused businesses, including the only dispensary in Central New Jersey, which is Aunt Mary's, because they're particularly local and hyper local and farm to I'm not sure what farm to medicinal. Let's go with that. So anyway, but it is the map of Central New Jersey. I used to pick it up in Hopewell and was always like, why isn't Flemington on here?
They're in the Skylands.
Yeah, they're considered central.
Are they?
Yeah. So I mean, Central is a pretty big place, but anyway, so I brought you those. This is still our May and
I have those out there.
Yes, and we do have a lot of activities. This is information from the NJEDA from one particular vendor who will build a website for any business that you know that doesn't have a website. They'll even host the website for free for a year. You just have to be a registered business with a registered EIN number. This guy in particular is somebody we worked with and some of our businesses have worked with. If you go directly to the NJEDA site, there's 6 or 7 people who will build a business, a free website. These tend to be really attractive and more retail focused, but they're free. And the NJEDA pays the designer to put the site together. So when you're wondering, how come I don't know when this restaurant is open, or how come I don't know the name of this particular business because their signage on Main Street doesn't tell me who they are, you know, tell people that it's really helpful to have a website. It makes it easier for us to refer business to them and for customers to get familiar with them before they wind up on our street. And then I just brought you some more next big event, which is the Fiesta from United Way on Fulford, and we're really excited about that. So we had great events. We had a really, really busy weekend. We've had a couple of really busy weekends, and business is really struggling. Our businesses are really struggling. It's the economy, it's widespread, but it's difficult. And they've come out swinging to promote themselves. People who don't normally promote themselves are starting to promote themselves more widely. But again, those issues of not having good signage, not having a presence that's perceptible are really, really impact the ability for a business to find its customers and customers to find what they're looking for. So, you know, in the absence of a lot of foot traffic and attractions that drive foot traffic, and anchor businesses that drive foot traffic, you know, everything and anything we can do to help our businesses. I really want us to put our heads together and get creative. And, you know, we have things to talk about with, while the hotel will be an anchor and change many things, it's not the cure-all of all issues that we have in the way that our businesses are situated on our main street. So I think finding ways to be creative is really essential.
Yeah, Robin and I spent a lot of time over the last couple. This is Wednesday. Let me go back to this website. So how are we communicating that exists, that exists to all of the businesses? Because I do think that really does help, is that if I log on, And if I'm in, let's just say that I'm in the Shannon Station and I log on to see, I have to come up this way and I want to see what's there. So how are we communicating?
Well, part of the debt, I don't know what they're doing. I know what we're doing though, because and Kathy Guzman, who worked for the FCP forever, who's awesome, is actually working at the NJEDA in the small business department. So, you know, she goes out and talks about this program. And it's literally a free website that the NJEDA pays for.
So how are we talking to the world?
With our data project, which entailed going into like the Egnan auction building and knocking on everybody's door, you know, we went deep into our business community, including going to gas stations that are part of the borough that we don't normally have a phone number, or, you know, we don't have a contact person necessarily. You might know the property owner, but not really who works there every day. So we've completed all of the highway businesses, which was a huge piece of work, and got names and numbers, and we will have a meeting with the highway circle district to talk to them, and we will have the person who builds the websites actually there to get people signed up.
Okay, so just want to make sure I just bring this down. So I hear the first step is done, and that's continuing to do that, and that's building the database. But the second step is that, are you going to go back into the businesses and let them know this? Is this in conjunction with this, or is this the second step?
We will use every channel we have to tell them about this, but I think the most effective will be when we have a group meeting. Okay. We will certainly go back, we will email them, and you know, I hope everyone here is our emissary. And when you're out and about, tell people, do you know there's a free website that it's like a one click and you're signed up, and as long as your EIN paperwork is easy to submit, to upload, you got a website.
Did you or anybody on council notice that the wall has been mowed and weeded?
No.
The ugly dead ivy is still there. Somebody in the audience noticed. Thank you. Yes, indeed. We meaning Dave Giuliani and I contacted the owner record, and basically said, we don't care about your tenant. We don't care that he's in bankruptcy. It is still your property, and we will be coming after you and fixing it ourselves and putting a lien on you if you don't fix it. So he did. Good. The ivy's still up. I don't know. But there's a million little birds, I think, nesting in it. So I don't know what to do about that, but it looks a lot better.
We're happy to put a sign back at any time, a vinyl banner that anytime anybody lets us do that. And our plants are here, thanks to the DPW. Those guys do a really great job of caring for our plants and making them. I mean, I honestly, I don't know how they do it, but they're really thriving. They're like twice as big as they were when they first got here. They look awesome. So I hope everyone is enjoying that as well. That's it. Thank you so much. I'm leaving you all.
Are you leaving or are you going to stick around?
I'm sticking around.
Yeah. What did you do to foot?
I broke my foot.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes, I'm not suing my landlord though.
Well, you're in the food, so that's
we were in the chair hospital behind the building where the broken Adirondack chairs go, and I was wearing dump shoes. I need a better story, but that's the truth. Yes, Jack.
What is the summer fiesta you mentioned?
It is Saturday, June 22nd. And it's on Fulford, and most of our local restaurants come, and the dancing and the information and the fun is just fantastic. It's probably and I shouldn't really say this because this is self-deprecating in a way, but I think it's the best community festival we have. It's just all about community. Corn Tomato is different, but for community, that's an awesome event.
Because a lot of community organizations come out to, it's also works as an informational type of situation as well, which is good.
And the food is free.
Group. That's one group, that's one way of integrating the community.
Okay, so you're way past 3 minutes. So. Only because the councilman asked questions. I agree. All right. Anybody else from the public? Nope. Coming up, I just need your name, spell your last for the record and your address, please.
William Boyce, B-O-Y-C-E. My address is 71 Cornell Street, New Jersey.
Okay.
Like I said, my name is William Boyce. I'm a Flemington Borough resident. I'd like to address an ordinance that is currently in effect. It's the biking on sidewalks, or the biking and skateboards on sidewalks. As of right now, I'm 99% sure that it's still being enforced by the police, I'm pretty sure. That's just what I remember seeing a sign near Steve's food store that wasn't allowed. So that's why I know it now. So basically, as an avid biker, I like getting around here on my bike, and I usually would bike on the sidewalk, but now I can't really do that. I have to bike in the road. And I understand, but I also don't understand why bikes are not allowed on the sidewalk. I get it, but I also don't. I frequently bike over to ShopRite across from 202 and 31. I work there. On my way there, the roads are pretty narrow. I usually cross Riverville to get over to where McDonald's is. I used to ride on the sidewalk, but now I go on the road, and it's a lot more dangerous, in my opinion. Yeah, I got stopped mid-May around like 3 o'clock. I was on my way to work, and my friend got stopped too by a police officer. And I felt a little frustrated because I forgot at the time, but then I remembered. It was just a little annoying, but understand. So that Riverville Avenue, that road, if you're coming from the circle, it's really narrow if you're riding in the road. This cars, there's no shoulder. So yeah, that is.
Are you talking? I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the side of Rayville that's in front of McDonald's, or the side that's on where Staples and
the side where Staples?
That one is okay.
Yes. That part is very narrow. There's no shoulder. You can't ride really anywhere. And I used to ride on the sidewalk. So yeah. What I would like to suggest something. I've been thinking about bike lanes all around Flemington. I know that on Farran Boulevard, whatever that's called, I know there's a bike lane on both sides going to near the intersection near the Walmart Plaza area in Lowe's. And I would really like to see with the development, I would really like to see maybe more bike lanes around Flemington, maybe Main Street. I could see why it might not be a little possible because it's not the widest road in the world, but I also was thinking possibly bikes and skateboards, can go on the sidewalk if absolutely necessary, because sometimes the roads are just too dangerous. People fly right by, they just don't look sometimes. And that's really just simple as that, in my opinion. That's all I'm suggesting. And I heard, I looked in that paper right there, the agenda, that the ordinance for no person shall ride a bicycle or a skateboard on any sidewalk in the borough. That ordinance will be introduced and it will be repealed, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I read that right.
So actually, we have a bike ordinance that has lots of components in it.
Yeah.
And that section is staying.
Yeah.
It's another section that is supposed to be repealed.
Okay.
That was put in a few years ago without any input by our traffic consultant.
Okay.
Or our chief of police. It's kind of considered dangerous by our chief of police to put in bollards with temporary bike lanes, but there was no traffic study done or input by professionals. So, but the no biking or skateboards on sidewalks is staying.
Okay.
So, just to be clear.
All right.
That is not part of the repeal.
Okay, I must have read that wrong.
In the
original version, and then Councilman Levitt caught that was part of the repeal, so we had the attorney fix it so it stays.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me speak. I really appreciate it, and thank you.
So first, I just want to say thank you so much for exercising your civic rights. I'm personally very impressed that you came out to voice your concerns and ask the questions. I did ask the police chief to be here tonight because of that ordinance that, you know, there are issues. We know that people are concerned about it, and he is the right person to answer your question as to why bikes and skateboards are not, and they haven't been allowed in this town for probably 2 decades. And then it was enforced, you know, years and years ago. I'd like to say when I was your age, but I was much older. Because we've had so many complaints by residents as well as business owners who, you know, this is supposed to be a safe, walkable town, and businesses rely on that. That, you know, the chief started enforcing it again. We had a lot of near misses of people being hit, and not just by bikes, but also by e-bikes. So Chief, do you want to?
Yeah, it's really, unfortunately, the situation with the sidewalk is the sidewalk.
Can you go up to the mic, Chief?
Sure.
Please, because we don't
the sidewalks are for pedestrians, not so much bicyclists.
Yeah.
It's always been under motor vehicle law that bicycle should be riding on the side.
Okay.
We gave.
That's state law.
State law. We gave some slack to that, but unfortunately, like the mayor said, with the price point of e-bikes and the volume of e-bikes, and the near misses with bicycles and e-bikes, with pedestrians, in order to protect the pedestrian who believes they have the right of way right there, they're in the clear, they should with confidence be able to come out of a store without worrying about a bicycle traveling at high rate of speed or moving people into the street. Okay. There is laws under the state law protect bicyclists from motor vehicles and everything like that. So if you come across a situation where you don't get the right of way, or we can step offline and explain some of the traffic laws to you. That way, you know you're right as bicyclists on the street, and that might be able to help you some.
But Main Street is it's a very difficult road. Broad Street is a better option, you know, most of the days, to ride on our Park Avenues, not during commuting hours, but Broad Street is probably the best option. I don't know the answer for Rayville. Yeah. I don't know if the answer is, and Chief, I don't but is it safer for bicyclists to ride in the big parking lot of Staples and then go around the circle?
Everything is so timed as to what time it is. Rayville Avenue is a busy street from the circle all the way past the stop. So maybe I would tend to maybe lean towards South Main Street to cross over, maybe, especially depending on the time you're traveling. Yeah. Pick a safer route, try and get out. And
we know it's an issue. Right now, our priority is making the sidewalk safe and our businesses thrive. Bike lanes will cut out an entire parking lane for cars because our roads are so old. Ferran Boulevard was developed, let's see, I did that ribbon cutting. 1998 or 7 of Raritan Township. So So there, you know, Governor Whitman was the one who pushed for bike lanes. She gave a lot of money out for bike lanes when she was governor. She was a big bicyclist herself. She's the one who passed state law that everybody under 14 has to wear a bike helmet. So there was money available, which is why that road has bike lanes and why Raritan Township put bike lanes in on Forest Corner Road and Church Street in Raritan Township by the mall. So because there was a lot of money available at the time. But with old historic roads like in Flemington, some of which are Indian trails, like where you live, but Ellsbury was an Indian trail. You know, they're much more narrow and much more difficult to figure out. But we're slowly working on all this stuff. I just want you to know that, but I just want to applaud you for coming.
Can I comment on Preston Boyce? I'm 71 Van Elm Street, and Paul's mom. Where I have concerns is, like Councilman Engelhardt said, kids are getting out of school next week, and you are forcing kids to ride in the street. I turned from Park Avenue onto Bonnell, made a right the other day. There were 2 kids coming right down the street. If I did not stand on my brakes, I would hit them. On Main Street, I just wonder if our efforts could be better focused on perhaps targeting or addressing the crazy drivers that we have to try to get them to slow down so that it would be safer to ride on Main Street.
Yeah.
I mean, I had someone riding on Main Street on their bike in Main Street following the ordinance, and the car in front of me worked to go around him into the oncoming traffic and almost caused an accident because we are forcing the bicyclists in the street. I understand the pedestrians. Maybe there's something that should be considered, that there's an age limit or some. I just hate to see these young kids being forced into the street or being afraid to be on the sidewalk using their bicycles because they're going to get a $25 fine or whatever the fine may be. I'm just wondering if there's something that could be done to help marshal for the kids. Adults,
I actually think that you're right. I do think that there has to be some education for the drivers. I absolutely 101% agree with you, because I have seen some incidents myself in the last week where there was a slippery slope, right? And so whether we put signs up that says, okay, you're going to be drivers, there's bikers now, here's the rule, da da da. I think it's an education period for both, and I think if you lax the rules at one point in time and then you're bringing the rules back, you got to let people know that you brought them back and they're going to be taken seriously. You can't just put them in, right? Mm-hmm. So I absolutely 100%. Your point is well taken and very valid. I do think that there needs to be a campaign that happens between the police and the bicyclists and motorists, because until you have all of that, you're absolutely right. We're putting kids are afraid. And now that they know, then they can do better. If I know better, I can do better.
Well, there's a pecking order, right, Chief? Like, pedestrians have #1 rights under the law, and then non-motorized vehicles have second rights, right? So cars have to yield to bikes, and bikes have to yield to pedestrians.
There's been a big push lately with that, and we'll definitely get that information out there so people are educated, as I said before, about the.
So maybe we need to, we had the signs up saying get off the sidewalks in English and Spanish, and now maybe we need to put signs up in English and Spanish saying, slow down.
Right.
Bike yield to bicycles.
We can definitely do that.
I think that's great, but if the law is the bottom line that you can't be riding on the sidewalks,
that's the law.
That's the law. So that is a problem for young children. Or let's say I'm a young mom. This is going way over the line, but I'm a young mom and I'm out for a walk with my kids, and my 4-year-old is riding their bike ahead of me. So do we technically have to have them riding in the street? Technically, yes. Yes, I know, but that's where I'm going. I would urge you to consider putting something into the ordinance, perhaps, that maybe it's children under 15 or something. And I just think you're setting ourselves up for a disaster that we don't want to face. There was already a young man killed, as we all know, on Beagle 202, which was right where Will was stopped, right before that intersection. There's no room. I drive down Mine Street. You can barely drive down Mine Street heading towards the Route 12 without having to go almost into the lane with your car. And now you're going to put a bicycle there. I just think I just ask you to consider that it's not black and white. It's not all or nothing.
Well,
and
you know,
our children.
it's right. It's also
would hate to be.
it's also not, and I know, but it's not 1965 in Flemington anymore with all this development and everything.
No,
We've got,
and that's why I think it's important.
we have a lot of speeders that use Flemington as a commuting route that live in Pennsylvania and American Township, and
we also have a large population in the borough of people who use bicycles for their mode of transportation to get to their livelihood, to survive. So, you know, I think we just need to
definitely put some messages out.
Thanks, and William, I want to thank you for coming first of all, and I've met William before. So I'm still waiting to hear what you're going to do for your Eagle Scout project, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there. I have a son same age as you, and he also is going to be doing his summer, you know, part-time job, and it terrifies me to know that he's going around town on the bicycle to get to work. So I think we definitely will make a point of talking to the police and seeing what we can come up with some strategies to make sure the kids are safe. And yeah, where do you draw the line? It's definitely a question we need to answer. And I really appreciate your comments today.
Can I just make one more comment?
Sure.
So I think it was today or yesterday, I was riding down Main Street. I was making a right onto Main Street, and there was a parked car, and there was a car speeding down the road.
Of course.
And I was trying to go around. I went to the right, into, like, you know where the parking spots are along the right.
Yep.
I tried to go there just so I could let the car pass, but the car slowed down. But then when I went to go around to take the right, it sped up. It's like some people just, honestly, I don't think they really care. But I don't know. It's just something that happened. It was today. I was biking. I noticed that. It's happened a lot too in the past with me. Probably not with me. I bet a lot of people have experienced something similar. But that's
a lot of traffic and a lot of people speed, and it's an issue in town that we're constantly looking at.
Yeah.
Trying to get it enforced, and you know, and I personally believe that it's not necessarily Flemington Borough residents that are doing it. I mean, we've seen a lot of Pennsylvania cars on my street, a lot, and Park Avenue. So
Put some notices out, and the officers are out there and they're enforcing.
and it is something we talk about. So I don't want you to think it's not being talked about this today in the parking committee. We talked about it. You know, so.
Appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We have somebody online?
She's right.
Yeah, she has her hand up.
Okay. Who's it?
Shannon Moore.
Okay. Ms. Moore, can you take yourself off of mute?
May have.
No, I don't.
Yep. She's an attendant. So no, go up.
Oh, remove.
No. Go up. No. Go out of that. No, go up to her name.
Yeah.
Ask to unmute.
Oh, I saw you. Okay.
You also sent written.
Shannon, can you unmute?
Ms. Moore, can you please unmute yourself so we can hear you?
Yeah.
Ms. Stuck?
No, it's on her side.
It's on her side?
Yeah, she has to accept the invitation.
Ms. Moore, you've got to accept the invitation so you can unmute yourself. Otherwise, we're going to move on with this meeting. Do you want to address the council?
There she is.
Where she is?
No, she left. No, she's back in the attendees, so she
Allowed to
declined
talk?
your. Yeah, but she declined your panelist. So.
Okay.
I assume that these public comments would be read later when we
No,
introduce them.
no, the public comments will be attached to the agenda or to the minutes, but they don't have to be read.
They don't have to be.
No,
Yeah.
no, they just get attached. Okay, I'm moving.
I would like to see them be read in, but that's because
Well,
they
I don't
have
have
to
the
be
copy.
an important subject.
What?
I said I didn't print them.
I
Right,
mean, you sent them via email today.
right, everybody got them.
Yes.
And they'll be attached to the minutes.
Okay.
All right, so we're moving on. There will be a second opportunity for Ms. Moore or anybody else, at the end of the meeting and this public comment period. So right now we're up to, number 9, approval of minutes. We have the regular session of March 25, 2024. I have a motion to approve.
Oh, move.
Is there a second?
Mother second.
Okay, can I have, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, executive session, March 25, 2024. Can I have a motion, please?
Oh, move.
Is there a second?
Mother second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any? Regular session, April 8, 2024. Can I have a motion, please?
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, regular session, April 22nd, 2024. Can I have a motion, please?
Oh, move.
Second, please.
Mother second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Executive session, April 22nd. Can I have a motion, please?
Oh, move.
Is there a second?
Mother second.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We next on item number 10 is proclamation recognizing the month of June 2024 is Pride Month. Councilman Levitt, will you please read it?
I sure will.
Thank you.
Recognizing the month of June 2024 as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, intersex, and asexual LGBTQIA Pride Month in the Borough of Flemington. Whereas the Borough of Flemington recognizes that June is traditionally recognized as a month of celebration by LGBTQIA people, and whereas the Borough of Flemington values the importance of diversity among its citizens and its employees, and whereas the Borough of Flemington has in place policy prohibiting discrimination against LGBTQIA residents and employees, and whereas the Borough of Flemington recognizes that LGBTQIA residents, business owners, and employees of Flemington have worked hard to make our community a more fabulous place, and whereas the Borough of Flemington encourages the work of advocates who dedicate their time and efforts to the equality of all persons, and recognizes the impact that LGBTQIA individuals have had on our community, and whereas Flemington continues to encourage all individuals to celebrate the great diversity of the American people, and whereas the Borough of Flemington intends to fly a rainbow pride flag at Borough Hall for the month of June in recognition of LGBTQIA Pride Month, now therefore be it resolved that in recognition of LGBTQIA Pride Month, Mayor and Council hereby proclaim the month of June as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, intersex, and asexual Pride Month in the Borough of Flemington.
Thank you so much. All right, item number 11, work session, community energy planning grant. I believe this is you, Councilwoman Engelhardt.
It is. Thank you so much. I don't want to take too much of the council's time. Since we had some luck with the recreation grant, I figured we'd keep it going. We need to have essentially a stakeholder event, and we need to engage stakeholders in developing a energy plan. There was a grant that was awarded back in 2022 before my time, so I kind of inherited the management of this. I've been working on it off and on for the last year, gathering information, but at one point, I spoke to Marcia earlier this year with some concerns as to whether this was worth our time or not. Councilman Levitt was also in on some of the early planning meetings, and the program was a little convoluted and complicated.
Can I just ask you some guiding questions?
Yes, sure.
What agency is behind this grant?
Yeah, let me start. Thank you. The Board of Public Utilities sponsors several grants. This grant is exclusively for planning an energy plan. After the energy plan is submitted, we are then eligible to apply for the same Board of Public Utilities implementation grant. That grant is upwards of $250,000. So after talking with you and you were nice enough to give me some ideas on what items we could put into this energy plan, I decided I'd like to see it through and file all the paperwork.
So just for everybody on council and the public to understand, in order to get the big money, we gotta have a plan.
Yes.
On what we're gonna ask for in the future. So yes. For instance, this building, which needs all new windows, better insulation, probably a more sophisticated HVAC system, et cetera, et cetera. This is just one of many buildings we own, that the plan would say we need to upgrade these buildings because they're old and they don't have R-rated windows and blah, 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 blah. And once the plan is approved by the BPU,
then we're eligible for.
And they gave us money, right? My understanding is they gave us money to do this plan.
They did.
How much money did they give?
They gave us $25,000.
Right. So to hire a consultant or pay our whoever to help us write the plan. Yeah. Once it's approved, then and we say, well, you know, those windows, and they go, okay, we're approving your plan, then we can apply for windows or new doors or a new HVAC system or whatever to $250,000.
Yes, and it should be noted that not only does BPU offer this $250,000 implementation grant, but from what I was advised recently from Sustainable Jersey, who's basically managing this grant on behalf of BPU, is that there are also some federal programs as well that again require an energy plan to be done in order to get that money. So there's more than $250,000 even available if we follow up.
So where are we? So where are we now, and what is it doing? What steps are we have?
And I'll just read basically what I had prepared here. As I mentioned earlier, that I had prepared in my council comments earlier this year that I was working on this project to help identify borough goals to reduce energy emissions. The process is coming to an end on June 30th. And one of the outstanding requirements, although I've approached most of the stakeholders internally, is we need public input. So if there is any members of the public, and this will be posted on the website and the Facebook page as well, I'll encourage them to reach out to my email address.
Public input on.
If anybody has any ideas or thoughts on what they would like to see in an energy plan, I'm willing to take that input and utilize it as some guidance to develop the final phase of this plan.
And so the date of the 30th, is that the date that the report is due? Yes. The plan is due? So the actual plan is due by the 30th?
I've written many long-range facility plans over the years professionally. The worksheet for this particular project is not too complicated. It's basically a Google Doc. So I've got probably about 50% entered into that. And then I've also got a draft of the report itself, which is created from the work.
Are you using any of the $25,000 for professionals? Why are you killing yourself?
The answer is yes. I can
just go. Yourself, yes, you're using some of the money.
Both. Both. I want to be as efficient as I can, so that I can use that $25,000 and spread it around. Some of the things that, for a good example, some of the things that you did on the planning board this year to implement lower heat island effects with by requiring trees to be planted in any revised site plan, not just a good example is the dental office on 202. When they came to the planning board, they were not required by the checklist to plant trees in their heat island parking lot. But the revised planning board checklist that you guys are implementing, and you and I talked about this was a bug
Right,
for
we
both
got,
of
we
us.
articulated to do it, so.
The work involved in developing that part of the checklist, I am then permitted to have Beth document as part of that 25,000.
Okay, so.
So it can actually come out of the planning board budget and into this budget. So we're
Got it.
actually saving some money.
I'm kind of confused. I'm sorry. Please help me.
Yeah.
So I hear $25,000. I hear that we can get professionals. I hear you're doing this. I hear it's due on this day. I hear this. I hear this. But for me as a council person, I just feel like totally. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand what's the 20. Like, who are the professionals? Do we have a list of professionals that we're looking at? When you say outreach to the public, and if the public has any idea, it's due on June 30th. I, Joe Public, have no idea what you're talking about, and you're asking me to come here and give you some ideas. How are we communicating to the public what you're doing and what we're asking for, and a little bit about the project?
Right.
I'm not poo-pooing on the project at all. I'm just trying to understand from if I were not at this well, I'm at the council, but if I weren't at this council meeting, that what are you asking for? And you need to educate me on what you're asking for so that I can give you some valuable input. But then where do the professionals come in? And it just seems.
I know Marcia was trying to assist by asking leading questions, but I think it'll be more clear if I just read my statement as opposed. Okay. Is that okay with everyone? Sure. Okay. So, as I said, I've been developing this plan over the last year and a half, off and on. My goal is to get a draft plan distributed prior to the next council meeting, as well as solicit any input from the public, which I will go in more detail in just a minute. There does need to be a resolution proposed to adopt this energy plan at the next meeting. Marcia kind of was asked her question prematurely, but I did state that the purpose of this first phase is to identify any future initiatives that may be eligible for future grant funding. While there is money available, meaning the 25,000 that was awarded to Councilwoman Hand, and as I spoke to Bill today, it's sitting in our fund. It was very unusual for and the Sustainable New Jersey got a lot of feedback, and that they were surprised that BP released those funds ahead of time, which is something new to me. I did not realize that we actually have the funds at hand, so we can spend them on consultants' work that's already been done over the last few months, especially for items like forward, the planning board ordinance revisions that has been incorporated either on the books that Beth is already working on, or items that they still are working on currently, like the checklist, like I mentioned. Other items that that have been brought to my attention as things that people are interested in including in this plan are things like EV training for our first responders, energy efficient public lighting in the parks as well as on streetscapes, encouraging alternative means of transportation such as bus shelters.
You don't have any buses?
We have the link, and there was some comments that was one of the feedbacks I got was that a lot of the multifamily housing complexes, there's a lot of people that sit out there that don't have benches to sit out and wait for transportation. So that was one of the public feedback that I had previously gotten, educating homeowners on electric heat and natural gas incentives, as well as educating homeowners on ideas to upgrade their historic homes. And I mentioned the heat island effect prior. All of these items, Tony, were items that either were solicited by our current consultants, such as our planner, our engineers, we have multiple, our traffic engineer as well as Mike Campion and his team. So when I say we have this 25,000, that money will go toward reimbursing these consultants, as well as we can put in, for example, when Carla assists putting together this report in a few weeks, I need her administrative help. The time that she spends on that then gets documented and submitted to be to the Board of Public Utilities as argument for the 25,000. So essentially I have to document all the time that is spent up to this point, whether it is an employee or a consultant. It's already been done. And submit that to BPU.
Couple quick questions.
Yes.
For clarity. So by June 30th, everything's due. So who does this go to? What's your
it gets submitted to Sustainable Jersey,
okay, so 30th,
who then submits it in turn to.
Okay, so that's that due date. But before that, the council would have to vote for the whatever the items are. To figure out what the items are, you have to have a public.
I already have all. I've solicited some public input. For example, at our Earth Day event, we had a whole bunch of people there. We solicited input in person there. So we have solicited public input. This official public meeting is to solicit any and all input in addition to what we've already done for the last 18 months.
So the public meeting is when is that? Whenever between now and the next council meeting?
No, the
right.
Sustainable New Jersey said that if we make an announcement at our public meeting for any and all additional input, this suffices as another public meeting. I can document where we have solicited input up to the last 18 months as well, but we wanted a formal public meeting to discuss this.
So I actually think it would be very, very, very helpful for all the council. It doesn't matter who's working on the grant or whatever. If when you're working on the grant, I think there's two initiatives that need to happen. One is to fill the entire council on what's going on. Because I do remember mentioning this whole thing, but the detail that's involved in it, I had no idea. And then for solicitations, I mean, okay, we can spend the money, here's the money, but I just think that there has to be a budget and more insight on what's going on so that we're not at the last minute trying to figure out how to support it or how to help it when it may be. I mean, I just think, there's no reason to work in. We also just need the resolution. Yeah, but that's not my point, Trent. I got that. That's not my point. My point of it is that a well-informed people do better work, right? So
I agree.
I just think that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's you or Peter Cottontail. The bottom line is that there needs to be a more effective way, an efficient way of doing this, so that council's not on the spot at the last minute to figure out what's going on, and that we can make a great decision as opposed to an informative decision as opposed to being reactive. I just don't believe in people working in a pigeonhole. I just think it needs to be out. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying what you're doing is not great or anything like that.
And
it's just that I feel like I'm stuck and I don't know what's really going on. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what about this? And what about this? you talk to this person, you talk to that person, but I own a home that's a historic home. I've never heard this discussion. I have a lot of people who would have probably been, that would have probably liked to be in this discussion. So that's all I'm saying. I just think we can do a better job of doing this.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Tony. As you know, this grant I inherited. I could have easily said to the mayor a couple months ago, you know what, this is not worth my time or effort. They'll give back the $25,000. So I am, frankly, as Marcia said, spending a lot of my own personal time and expertise to execute the requirements of this grant. In order for us to be eligible.
Let me just add that months ago when Susan came to me about this, and she did at that point bring it up to the council as well, and I knew nothing about it, and I said, what do you mean you inherited it? Only the mayor can give anybody a project up here. And then she told me that Jess, when she stepped off the council, gave it to her, and I'm like, that wasn't her prerogative to give it to anybody, right? Like, it needed to come through the mayor. So there's been a lot of muck with this about how it got passed off and how it happened in the first place. And I mean, Jeremy was on council the year that this grant was awarded, and he didn't know anything about it, even though Jess got $25,000 for the municipality. He knew nothing about it. And I had asked Kim the same question. She knew nothing about it. So, you know, we're here at this point. I don't think it's a, you know, there's money to be had out of this, because I don't know how many municipalities are going through all this rigmarole to get this money. And I totally understand your point, Councilman. I mean, totally get it, that, you know, I try to bring as much as I can to you all, you know, so that you are not caught off guard by anything. And, you know, I don't believe in gatekeeping any of this stuff. I really believe in sharing it all with you. I think that, you know, everybody's busy, and, you know, you're basically, all of us are basically volunteers who get a stipend. So, I would support moving forward with this. I mean, you know, whatever we need to do.
It's not that, I mean,
No,
I would definitely support it.
Yeah. I think that we need to do better in the future
we
with
need to figure this out.
Anybody up here. I mean, you know, and Councilwoman Sara's not here because she's a go-getter also, like raring to go with projects. I know Councilman Levitt certainly is, that everybody needs to be mindful that the whole council needs to be aware of the stuff. That, you know, there's a grant out there, and you know, I'm looking for support that, you know, to write it or whatever. That $25,000, you know, to give some of that money to Beth and return some of that money to our regular budget is a great thing.
Right. And look, if I'm happy to not spend my next 3 weeks writing this, trust me, like this will take a lot of my own personal time.
If we have a clear
and
idea of what that is going to be.
Yeah, and
I think that just makes.
But if you're not going to spend all $25,000, you should turn it over to Beth and let her write.
No, I'm going to spend every $25,000 by utilizing Beth to write some of this.
Okay.
You know, okay. He and I have already talked last month, and then again a couple days ago. So,
but again, I need to caution everybody on council. You need to get council's approval to spend money. You know, one of the things I forgot to bring up, because you guys were talking, and it's like, oh crap, I forgot this. I'm glad Bill's still on the line. One of the things the parking committee said today, and it was your idea, and you were right, Councilwoman Engelhardt, is about the municipal parking lot, because it's gonna become an issue, and it's gonna be needed more with information that we've been gathering. And Bill, we need to do a survey of that municipal parking lot. Mike doesn't think we have one. Nobody knows. Some of those parking spaces apparently are owned privately, portions of it, just like Stengel Road. They're not 100%. So is there an $800 or $900 available to do a survey of the municipal parking lot, Bill?
Yeah, I'm sure we could find it in the mayor and council budget line.
Okay. And I'm going to come back to that to ask permission from the council to spend that money to do a survey, and I'll go into a little bit more detail, but that's the thing, Councilwoman Engelhardt, is you have to say to the council, there's $25,000 for this purpose, and I want to use youth theft for this purpose, and we'll be able to return money into the budget. Anybody got a problem with that? And then it's on record that they're okay with you spending the money, because it's the council's money to spend, always.
And this is the 4th grant that I've worked on since I joined this council. And like I said, this one I was hesitant to even continue with it. And I think I've been very communicative with the other grants that I have been involved with. I'm happy to move forward on this. I want to stress that, you know, whatever ideas and initiatives we include in this energy plan, no way commits the borough, this council, it obligates us to spend any money whatsoever. So I want to make that clear. This report may just be something that's dusty and sits on the shelf, which is, as a planner, I'm used to that. You know, I get it. Half of the reports I write sit on shelves. I understand that. Essentially, you know, the community energy plan is a master plan that we use just for our energy goals. And that includes documenting the fleet that Chief has in you know, excuse me, documenting the fire department's equipment. So that when Chief says, hey, you know, we're coming to the end of our, I don't mean to pick on you, Chief.
That's all right.
We're coming to the end of our life cycle on this particular vehicle. We can not necessarily get EVs, but what do we need that will help us and be energy efficient at the same time. So I certainly hope that's the case, but essentially it's important to at least take the chance and document.
So what do you need from the council at this moment in time?
I would like
a public hearing next week?
No, we do not need a public hearing.
Okay.
All we need, like I said, is invite people to send their input to my email address, my council email address. It's sengelhardt@historicflemington.com. Reach out to Carla in the town hall if they would like to connect with me this way. Please, council members, if you have an epiphany, hey, I heard about this really cool dual flush toilet that we should, you know, encourage. Yeah, I have one as well. You know, anything that you think would be a help to you guys know your departments best, specifically police and fire. So there may be something that you have discussed with them in one of your liaison positions that I'm not familiar with. Yes, but unfortunately that's not, well, the electric service, but that doesn't apply.
Application model resolution.
Yes, it's on the web. It's on the Sustainable Jersey website. You're not going to find it, Trent.
Can you send that as soon as possible to Chris Christini?
Yes,
so that he can read it and amend it.
Sure, absolutely. And you know,
get it on the next agenda.
The plan itself, the report itself will be ready and you know available to read prior to the next council.
What's the requirements of that to the public to see it?
There will be I don't know. I don't think so from what I read. Again, I'm catching up too, just like I don't think so, but I plan for it to be available, you know, on the website by that Wednesday before the meeting. So that's my goal. I really would like to pump this out and get it done.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for the council?
Oh, by the way, bike, everything related to bicycles, including doing a study of, you know, appropriate bike lanes on Rayville, would be one of the incentives that you could include easily into an energy plan because it relates to non-car travel. So we can use that to, we can use that as a stepping stone for more money in the future to hire consultants to do that type of work.
It's getting late, Robin. What's up?
Question. Can you just say what the scope is? Is it, I heard you say facilities, but now I heard you say roads and equipment.
Anything related to
Public.
clean energy.
Public and public, on public
No,
properties?
no. It's also initiatives to educate residents on energy efficient windows. You can utilize your energy plan is basically, this is the town's goal. We have a goal to educate residents. We have a goal to, put solar panels on our public buildings. Whatever the goal is, you put it in the plan. And that plan is also a fluid plan. It can be updated at any time.
So who's doing the goals? Are you doing the goals in Beth?
I've collected at all different goals from all different parts of, employees and consultants. So yeah, I'm the main organizer, but it'll come out. It'll be reflected in a report.
In your report, I'll have the goals.
Yeah, it's reflected in a report. The way the program is set up, it actually has different subjects. There's an outline. So initiatives related to public transportation goes in section 1. Initiatives related to energy efficient windows and doors go into section 2. It's already defined. Exactly. I just have to plug in the information.
I'm just trying to catch up, understand.
Trust me, so have I been trying to do that. So.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions for the councilwoman? Any objections to any of this? Okay,
I'll move forward.
Seeing none, thank you so much, Councilwoman, for working on this. And getting back to the survey of the municipal parking lot before I forget about that again. So one of the things that our traffic consultant did find out and confirmed with the redeveloper of the hotel from him himself is that he is going to be charging for hotel guests overnight, and he's going to be charging for residents to park on the site. So, which means that, it means that if anybody who chooses not to, we're going to have to address this issue one way or another of potentially, well, there's 206 apartments and 100 hotel rooms. So 300 cars looking for spaces in Flemington Borough because they don't want to pay. So we are, discussing the municipal parking lot and the condition of the municipal parking lot, that it probably is going to need an upgrade with lighting and striping and all that. And in that conversation, we started talking about if we even know what the boundaries are of some of the parking spaces along Main Street businesses. Part of those parking spaces are owned by the businesses, and part of those parking spaces are owned by the borough, just like on Stengel. So there was a consensus in the parking committee today that we really should start with a survey of that parking area and then ask our traffic consultant to look at that survey and possibly reorder this, see if he can maximize even more spaces there, because it hasn't been touched in probably 60 or 70 years.
Make it more.
To try to make it as efficient as possible, safer for pedestrians, where the lights would go. But again, like the spots have been the spots my entire life, and nobody's ever questioned where they are and to see if there's a better configuration. So, with no objection, I would like to hire a surveyor. Just to put in perspective, the survey that we just did over at the police building was how much did they say? $750?
I think Mike said $750.
$750 for the whole back area, the Prestige building, our building, the parking lot. So I don't have a not to exceed amount, but I don't think it would be much more than that, maybe less. No, the one behind Mass Red Rooster and Main Street, behind Benell and Bloomfield and Main. That part. So any object to that?
I would like to add that the goal of reimagining and replanning that particular municipal parking area has been something that's been discussed for years on planning board, work through the master plan process. So it's definitely something the planning board has expressed a concern with that. We would like to see it more efficient with, you know, pedestrian walkways and lighting connecting to Main Street businesses.
Okay, a motion to move forward with the survey of that parking lot.
Engelhardt will move.
Is there a second? Any other discussion? The consensus was that if we charge for parking spaces there for the residents of the new apartment buildings, we are going to charge more than the redeveloper does to force them into their own parking lot. So it's not something we want to make money off.
My only concern is that the spillover might be on things like Broad Street.
Well, you already have permit parking on the street. So that's what, you know, as soon as we found that out today, there was a consensus that we now need to explore permit parking for the entire town because Park Avenue and Catherine Street and Jay Troutman said, this is a very walkable town. People in the apartments will park their cars at Stengel and walk home. Absolutely. So we're going to have to look at the whole town now. And I, you know, I was at the planning board hearings and the council hearings, and that question was asked, are you going to be charging for parking for hotel guests and for the residents? And the redeveloper kept saying, I don't know. I don't know. I think if he had said, yes, the planning board would address this, but he did not answer that question, even though I personally asked it 6 times. Look, every time it was, I don't know. So now we do know. He still was saying he doesn't know how much he's going to charge. But we do know, and like I said, I think the planning board would have handled it differently had they known. So now we're going to have to handle it, and that's okay because we're moving right along in this parking committee, right, Chief?
We are.
We are chugging and making progress.
Yep.
Okay. So moving out of the work session into the consent agenda, we have resolution 2024-86, resolution approving Octavio Angelotti into the NJ State Firemen's Association, resolution 2024-87, resolution approving Liam Peralta into the NJ State Firemen's Association, resolution 2024-88, resolution approving Austin Chico into the New Jersey State Firemen's Association, and resolution 2024-89, approving Heather Kelly as a social member of the Flemington Borough Fire Department. What?
I forgot the word fire.
Oh, I knew. Sorry, I just read it like I knew it. Anybody want anything taken off consent for separate discussion? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve resolutions 1 through 4 under the consent agenda?
Move.
Is there a second?
Marco second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt? Yes. Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti?
Yes.
Okay, we're introducing some ordinances tonight. Ordinance 2024-14, an ordinance amending Chapter 4 licensing of the Municipal Code of the Borough of Flemington to amend the licensing fee applicable to medical cannabis facilities. This was an oversight by the former clerk administrator, where there was supposed to be a separate licensing fee for medicinal besides recreational. So this fixes that ordinance to put in a separate licensing fee. Can I have a motion to introduce?
Is it second?
Okay. No discussion necessary until our next meeting. Can I have roll call, please?
Sure. Councilwoman Engelhardt? Yes. Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-15, an ordinance that public hearing will be scheduled for what's today, the 10th, 24th, right? Yeah, June 24th. Okay, here in this room. Ordinance 2024-15, an ordinance amending section 1201 of the code entitled Words and Terms Defined for Public Art. We know that Councilman Parker has been working with the Public Arts Committee and our planner, Beth McManus, to move this committee forward, and this is their first big step, which is to actually define public art. Can I have a motion to introduce?
I'll move.
Is there a second? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti?
Yes.
Again, the public hearing will be June 24th, and I know that the committee, I think they really are enjoying this work. It's a good committee.
It's a really good group.
Yeah. Ordinance 2024-16, an ordinance repealing section 10 of chapter 3 bicycles of the municipal code of the Borough of Flemington. This repeals the section that Chief Rotella identified that was done, creating these temporary floatable bike paths. I do have it confirmed from Jay Chapman, who was the traffic consultant at the time, that he was never consulted on this. Our chief of police was never consulted on this, and our DPW superintendent was never consulted. Well, I agree that we really need to look at this whole issue of bicycles. The chief is here to answer any questions, because I know, you know, that this can be, it's a controversial topic right now, but this isn't necessarily the safest thing to have an unenforceable, unenacted ordinance on the books. So I'm going to ask for a motion to introduce, and we can have a discussion. Like, let's have a discussion first. I don't even know if the votes are here to introduce this tonight. So we can have a conversation and see where everybody is. And then if we need to gather some more information, we can gather some more information for the next week.
So do you mind if I open things
No,
up here?
not at all.
Because I was writing some notes on as I was thinking about this and giving you all the back of information, listening to the comments. I don't remember this. This was, you said 2019?
Right, Chief, what you said.
So I guess the big issue with this one is you weren't consulted. DPW wasn't. Nobody was consulted.
And most importantly, our traffic consultant was not.
Right.
Well, you and he, I would say, you must be in my champion, but.
So this was just something that was passed.
Some member of council brought it up. Somebody wrote that ordinance and without any input from the professional staff, and it was voted on. Yes.
Okay, so that's an issue, right? But I think, you know, when I think about something like that, I obviously wrong guys. There's some good intent behind something like that, right? It's not done to cause any fervor, the bicyclists versus pedestrians versus automobiles, right? So I think it probably came from a decent place. It just wasn't brought through the channels as it should. My thinking on this has kind of, you know, evolved from like, oh yeah, pedestrians have the right of way, absolutely, and having had experiences on the sidewalk, trust me. And then I'm kind of thinking here, like, all right, so it's our job to solve problems, and we have a nice team to do this, whether it's through our police department, everybody up here, electeds. So I think, you know, we have a problem. We definitely need to solve it, and we should be the ones to solve it. So I'm listening to, you know, our FCP director say, you know, businesses are struggling. Okay, that's not good. And then we all recognize there is a safety issue, right? All of us have seen it as residents. Police chief knows it. That's not anything new. I think a lot of the things I've been hearing is people passing through from another state, or what I know people do is they try to get past the circles. Nobody wants to drive through the circles. I get it. How do we create that sort of slow down? You know, I know at one point we suggested, hey, somebody floated the idea, let's reduce the speed limit to 20 miles per hour, which caused a problem. We didn't see that as reasonable. So I'm just here kind of, I want to put this together and say, like, there's all this stuff out there. Is there something we can do to bundle this up? And I know that, you know, this idea, the temporary things like bollards and pushing traffic that way. And I'm not saying, I'm going to say this, but I'm not saying this is a solution. I'm saying this is something to discuss. I have heard people talk about one-way Main Street. What does that look like? Does that change?
Kill business in town. I don't like to kill business in town.
So the question then is, how do you alleviate? How do you make this all work together? And again, preface this, I'm not saying that's the solution.
You know, I'm going to say this publicly, and I can get hanged for this, but Main Street's dangerous, and bikers should look at alternatives. We've got Broad Street runs the exact same length as Main. We got Park Avenue that runs almost the same length as Main. And, you know, if Main Street has become an issue for bikers, they should look for safe routes. they should be looking for safe routes, and our sidewalks are, you know, I know all due respect to Mrs. Boyce who left, you know, 12-year-olds are way more dangerous than some adults that are on sidewalks on bikes. So, you know, she wants to limit it to kids that are, you know, over the age of 15. I guess, you know, they're not little kids at 12 and 13, you know.
If I could just add something about that with this ordinance that's in play, is it limits the biker from making the choice of where they should ride. And the town is telling them what roads to ride. Right now, they know their ability as a biker, like we all know our abilities as drivers. If you're uncomfortable with the circle, you take other routes, not go through the circle.
And if somebody's uncomfortable with Main Street, they should be looking at alternatives.
Right. There's like we said, Broad Street was mentioned and Park Avenue, and it all depends on the time of travel with the bicycle. And I get it, people, you know, I bike myself recreationally. I get it, people need to travel to and from work on a bike, but they can look themselves and say, what's the best route? Maybe the best route, if you're coming from the apartments, is to go to Allen Street and ride the side streets and come up a way as opposed to the most direct routes. Right?
Yeah, and I think there's a holistic solution.
I think you should stay up here, Chief.
So, I mean,
Chief.
As far as what we could do, I mean, we talked about education, you know, stuff like that. You could put up as many signs as you want. And at some point, it looks ridiculous, too many signs up. But you know, can we work with Go Hunterdon? Can we make it?
We are in conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can we also kind of, and I was just writing down some notes. I know there's a League of American Bicyclists. I know that we have Go Hunterdon. I know that, you know, there's ways to do this that's more holistic, where it's, I don't want to put the onus on just people on bikes. I think pedestrians, I think automobile drivers need, like all three, you got to know the rules. You got to know what you're doing when you come into Flemington, and just how do we establish that culture so that it's like, this is it. Right. When you go into Flemington, New Jersey, this is what to expect.
Well, the state has already said, I mean, state law has already said bikes should not be on sidewalks. So pedestrians need to feel 100% safe on sidewalks. And if they don't feel safe, they're not going to want to shop in town. And, you know, a one-way Main Street will kill, it will kill business. It will kill business in this one.
If you don't mind me asking.
Can I?
Go ahead, Liz, you go first.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I know there's a lag. I just wanted to chime in. I agree, like Main Street might not be the best thing for one way. We want people to go and patronize our businesses, but as much as we want to keep pedestrians safe, we need to keep these bicyclists safe as well. As a lot of people said, they commute to work. This is their livelihood. They're supporting our businesses by working in them. So, I mean, maybe we look at other streets, Park Ave, Broad. Can either of those be a one-way to allow for a bike lane to get from one end of town to the other? Like, I think there's other solutions. The common thread I'm hearing is that everyone acknowledges that people are cutting through to avoid the circles, right, to get off the highway. But then they're
allow parking on one side of the street already. You know, part of that whole northern part doesn't allow parking on the one side of the street. So Park Avenue might be an option as a bike route from North Main, you know, up even through Central, you know, Central Avenue isn't as busy as Main Street is, but you know, it is something to look at. But again, you know, it's like what the chief said. If you're a driver and you're uncomfortable driving around the circle, you look for alternatives. If you're a biker and you're uncomfortable riding on Main Street, you got to find alternatives. It's, you know, we can help.
But the alternatives don't really seem safe either. You know, I walk around town all the time with my child. You know, Park Ave, not really that safe. Broad Street, not that safe. People speed through them to avoid Main Street, to avoid the highways. So how do we make it safe for everyone? You know, that's really the critical problem, I think.
You bring up a really good point, because that is true. They speed all through the borough. It doesn't matter what street it's on, it's speeding all through the borough. I think there's a couple things, and I go back to what I said before. If you lax the rules at any point in time and then you reintroduce the rules, you can't just reintroduce the rules without educating. I do agree that it should not only be on the bikers, but it should also be on the pedestrians, and it should also be on the drivers. But you have to communicate that, and you have to educate. So the question really is how are you going to educate? And I disagree with you that a lot of signs are ridiculous. The bottom line is you need to over communicate, and whatever that takes, you need to do that. So we haven't communicated at all. First of all, that's the first part of the problem. You haven't communicated at all. You put in something You took it back and now you're putting it back in and you're saying, okay, we're holding everybody responsible. You can't do that. You just cannot do that. So the bottom line is the question needs to be, how are you going to communicate this to make it effective? And how are you going to tell people that they're safe? Because there are some people who don't. I'm going to go back to what Liz is saying, because that's very true. These people are going from the jobs. It's 10 o'clock at night. They've got to get, they're going to go down a dark street, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a female, male, female, young kid, older kid, doesn't make any difference. And they feel vulnerable. And here's another thing you got to be sensitive, is that there are people who are Latino, Hispanic, another culture, et cetera, et cetera. They don't feel safe going through certain neighborhoods in the whole bit because they just don't. So again, you've got to make people feel comfortable about what you're doing and how they can do that. I agree with you. If you're going to give them a roadmap, do that. You need to show that roadmap. I just think it's not a, let's just put this in and then we're going to hold everybody accountable.
Well, I think the speeding issue in town is a real issue. The chief is going to work with Spanish for that because it's not necessarily our residents.
Yeah,
it's people who live in Bucks County and in Raritan Township and, you know, and Kingwood Township and whatever that, you know.
We'll always have the speeding.
So we need, I mean, I need to address, but I want to get back to this ordinance specifically about repealing bad language that the chief feels is dangerous. You know, and asked to have this repealed. He's the one who found it. He brought it to my attention. This is not, you know, this is, you know, yeah, we can work on doing something else, but in the meantime, we have an unenforceable, dangerous ordinance on the books. That's
work on it too.
What exactly is wrong with it? What's it?
It's with the bike lanes. It's signage that is taking the town is responsible to come up with these bike lanes and you know
they're temporary.
The spirit of the ordinance had some good intentions.
Yeah,
so right now, by ordinance, you can't even ride a bicycle on Main Street because it's not an established bike route. Right. That's the way.
Really what this says?
That's what it's written.
So if we limit, that's what we're doing is we're limiting people from making.
It says what roads and what directions you can ride on. So Park Avenue, the bike lane allows you to ride on one side of Park Avenue, but not on the other. Same thing with Broad Street.
More.
Can I ask you a question about the law? I'm sorry, you were.
No, that's good. I mean, it says that, you know, these are bicycle routes, or designated as bicycle routes, but I can't seem to find it here where it says, and they can't ride on anywhere else.
So if you scroll up further, there's more, and this and that, and this shall be this, and this shall be that. So
it mentions specific
roads and what directions you have to ride on the road.
So you want to repeal that because it's not being enforced, we're not doing anything about it.
Yes, we're not.
But council, can't we sit here and say, all right, we'd be willing to do that, but we've got to do something.
Well, why would you do that in the absence of a traffic study by your traffic consultant? We are, none of us up here, the 7 people that serve this governing body are not traffic experts.
What exactly, what am I getting out of a traffic study? Like, I'm literally asking this, like, I see traffic studies from the planning board, and none of that has ever told me anything I think I would need to know to be able to produce the reasonable route. I mean,
well, so
like counting cars or like,
you're gonna get speeds.
Okay.
You're gonna get traffic counts. You're gonna get information about whether or not they're taking away parking spaces that are very valuable to this town. You know, so what else am I missing?
Taking on responsibility of those lanes that are made. Got to make sure they're safe.
Somebody looked at this at some point because the lanes that they allow the bike routes on have to be over a certain distance. And that's why you can only ride on one side of Park Avenue because there's not enough clearance on the other side of the road to have an established bike lane. So,
but it wasn't a professional.
I understand that, but what Brian is, I'm sorry, what you're trying to say is that you can tell from the ordinance that something was discussed.
There was a reason.
We don't even know where it came from, and it frankly doesn't matter where it came from, who worked on it, who passed it before. We just have the opportunity to improve an existing ordinance. So I don't really care about the history, but I am excited to move it forward. I have a question for you, Chief. The mayor was really clear as to that this is a statewide law. I guess now, obviously, we've all been to other municipalities where people bike on the sidewalk too. My mom has a house on Long Beach Island, and I've been there a lot the last few weeks, cleaning and windows and getting ready for tenants. And one of the main areas, first, everybody bikes on the sidewalk on the main drag. But more importantly, at one point where it gets more dense, where there is more businesses and more pedestrians on the sidewalk versus maybe the outskirts of town where there isn't. There's actually signage that says bikes must dismount, very similar to the bridges across the Delaware.
Right.
And there's a sign and there's like printed on the sidewalk, bikes must dismount. And that's great because we either move the kids to the street or we make them dismount. Is there, so I guess, right. So I guess my question is, going forward as we do reimagine this, is there some part of the law that we can lean on that would allow, let's say, a young Mr. Boyce to be able to get safely down Rayville to, you know, on the sidewalk, right, on his bike, but still require some of the more dense areas where we have had, I mean, I spoke to one of the business owners about a year ago on Main Street, and she was really concerned because some of her customers were in jeopardy. It was a very blind area. I guess my question is there anything in the law that gives us the flexibility to allow some areas to have bicycles on the sidewalk and others that don't?
Study if that's the direction you guys want to go.
But the law wouldn't prohibit us to allow bicycling on some sidewalks?
No.
No. So Long Beach Township is in violation by letting.
No, I'm sure they're able to do that. Yeah, they have the.
So you can override the. Can you overwrite the state law? I guess.
I think depending on how you write it, is the key.
And this is maybe something we asked Chris to look into.
The way it's written,
right.
No problem. But I think the bottom line, you bring up a lot about. I agree with you because I've seen this over and over again where you have to dismount, and I think that's the other part. If you're on Main Street, you have to dismount.
I think that would be
doesn't
great.
mean that you can't take your bike down. You're just doing your bike. The problem becomes electric bikes. That
well, that's a whole other thing, but we can write that into the ordinance too.
Okay, but that's fine. I'm just saying the problem is the electric bikes, and that's how this all started happening because of electric bikes, because people were going to work in electric bikes and they were speeding. That's how this all kind of came about, right? Because before, when there was just riding bikes, it wasn't as bad. I mean, it's still bad, but I do think that there is nothing that's black and white. I think the gray is where we need to look.
Right.
One of my favorite saying, not black and white, the gray is where you need to focus. I think the gray really is, and we need to pay more attention to that, is where is it going to be allowed?
The law.
And where is it not going to be allowed? But I don't think that's the law. I think that's us.
Well, when I say the law, I mean the ordinance we create is the law.
Sorry. Yes, okay, great. So I think I go back to what Marshall was saying. I do agree with you. The traffic. I mean, let's just get the traffic study done. Let's just go around town and figure out what's safe, what's not safe. Let's get the speeding under control. Let's just, we just need to let people know what we're going to tolerate, what we're not. And I think that we haven't done that. I think that's the problem. I think that's the crux of the problem.
I suspect once we do some digging, we'll find that these are state guidance and something that's out of the actual statute. Probably
guidance. Not
You know, I mean, I go to Princeton a lot, and I go to Lambertville a lot, and I go to Clinton Town a lot, and I go to Frenchtown a lot, and bikes are not allowed on any of those sidewalks. If you've got an active business community, you don't mix bikes on sidewalks.
That's part of their ordinance law as well. I mean, for instance,
big wide streets, but the other two municipalities I mentioned have older, narrow streets.
Narrow.
No, but none of those other municipalities, you know, like I said, if you have an active business district, bikes don't mix on sidewalks with pedestrians, they just don't. And
I think we also have to address the e-bikes strong.
The e-bikes need to be addressed by ordinance. We need to amend it, and you know, when we have some language, and they keep changing the language.
Technology is advancing from this law
constantly.
Right.
Gotta catch up.
But we you know, we are Frenchtown, we are Lambertville, we're Flemington, so I just want to make sure that we the units turn down.
Our cost is going quick now.
100% for helicopters.
Right. So anyway, what we say, sorry.
I just think the e-bikes definitely need to be addressed.
I think there's room for us to make, there's room for us to get the entire town kind of analyzed and make exceptions to the rule, as long as we're in compliance with the law.
Yeah,
I want to make sure that we are, you know, we're in compliance with the law and everything as well. It sounds like there is some flexibility in that. I didn't want to pick on Long Beach Township, but I know they you know, I know they allow it.
A lot of our sidewalks are very narrow. Like I'm thinking about Mine Street. You know, they're very narrow, and there are a lot of people who, you know, we keep saying this is a walkable community, a walkable community. Bikes and walkers don't mix, they just don't. So if you want a walkable community, you have to make it first and foremost safe for walkers. Because it just doesn't mix. And then, you know, the people that are using bikes to commute to work and not just for leisure, we have to, you know, help them find safe routes. But as soon as we identify them, we become responsible for their bad biking or bad speeders, you know, and it's a big liability issue. So, you know, go back to this ordinance. What are we doing with this ordinance? Are we going to repeal bad language and start from scratch? Or are we going to leave it on the books and basically everybody who's riding the bike is breaking the law?
I think we should commit to, if we're going to get rid of this, we have to do something. I think I'm hearing that there's a willingness to do something.
If you want to do something, there is no money in the budget to do anything this year. A traffic study, remember, like we moved money for Jay Chapman to do this whole parking thing. So if we want to commit money for next year to really study this issue and do a full-blown study by Jay to come up with safe routes with the chief, that aren't going to impinge on a lot of traffic, that are going to keep the sidewalk pedestrians safe, you know, I'm all for it. But we don't have the money this year to do it. I mean,
So
we're ready. We got to deal with this police building, which is, you know, $5 million or not, it was all out of budget, 100% out of budget, purchased out of budget, and we're stuck with it, right? So that needs to be our priority, is getting it done.
In the meantime, there's things that we can do.
Well, we can, like Councilman Parker said, education.
Yeah.
You know,
Big education sign about, you know, to the drivers, you know, watch out for bikes. They have the right of way, which they do on the road. Bikes have right of way. They aren't allowed to have stupid either.
Websites.
When we go to schools, I think they need to know that this is happening. I just think it has to be. It's so broad.
This
It's
is great.
so broad.
Safe, there's a program for safe school routes, and we need to engage. Go, Leonard, and that.
We work.
Thank you.
On Mine Street.
Can I ask the police officers in the room, is there anything that's of value with this ordinance? Is it actually a liability for us? I mean, there must have been, I don't understand, there must have been something good, some reason for it.
The councilman who wrote it and cast it was a big bicyclist. I know the history of this because I looked into it after the chief brought it up to me.
That's how you pick the routes.
Possibly.
Are we able to, I don't know, just repeal the parts that are banned? Like,
That's entirely up to you guys.
Well, we're repealing subsection 2 of section.
That's what my concern is.
No,
We repeal the entire thing.
Yeah, I agree. That's my biggest concern about voting no.
You might have
I
to
mean,
take
voting yes. I remember that what Tony is saying.
one line,
Repeal the entire thing.
chapter
for 1 year.
10.
Feels scary.
I don't know, but it's what you want. I mean, you guys get good arguments on both
Can we
sides.
just come back to it? Can we kind of go back through the ordinance and figure out?
I think it's easier to write a brand new ordinance than to pick and choose lines in a bad ordinance. You know, I'm not,
This one would
we
be-
can even sit on the books for another year and not do anything with it and ignore it as much as we can. It's been ignored for years until the chief found it. It's been ignored for 5 years, right?
This one would be tough to repeal piecemeal, Councilman Parker.
Yeah.
You can take a piece out, take a piece out, I don't think.
Okay,
Right.
but here's, that's fine, I get it. So, so I was playing off Jim's questions, that was a great question. The bottom line is this, is that you repeal this, but then you're gonna write a whole new thing. But we can't do a traffic, we can't do the study
Well,
until
that's fair.
January.
Right.
So we repeal this, we're holding this on. At what point, but you still have to educate the public, so, I mean, it's just like, I don't see how this is all connected. I think that it's here. So how do we make this connect so that it's congruent, so that there is some consistency? I guess that's where my struggle is. So do we repeal this, and then on the repeal we say, okay, this is what's going to happen during the time, and in January we pick this back up to right? I'm just.
I think that the chief moves forward with signage and educating the public. Jeremy just found a really nice sign that says share the road with a bike on it. I'm not in favor of putting stuff like that on Main Street because Main Street's so noisy and I poison already. But a place like Main Street or Park Avenue or Broad Street, people would actually see us. We already have too much noise. It's too noisy, Main Street with eyes. So, but some of the side streets where the speeding is happening, Park Avenue, Broad, Mine, North Main Street, I think a sign that says share the road isn't necessarily
We're gonna
that.
utilize the message boards.
The message boards on Main Street because they're temporary.
Mayor, the more stuff you have on the street, it complicates things, so people drive slower. I'm not joking. Hey, I'm 100% serious.
That's what you were at.
Traffic calming.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is.
No, it really is. You want to see every sign. You're looking. You're doing this.
Did you go down Main Street while the car shows were happening?
Yes.
I've never felt safer walking down Main Street. You know what? Every single inch of that street was covered with on-street parking. The road was narrowed down so much. There was so much traffic going up. And it was so much safer.
Yeah,
I would. Yeah.
It's always like car.
Yeah.
You also want to look at the cars.
No, you're absolutely correct.
But you get the same effect on Benell Street. It's why there's people going like 9,000 miles an hour on Broad Street because there's nothing there that you have. Yeah, exactly. There's no visual indication that you should be driving slower on there.
Well, that's why I like the signs that Jeremy just found, and then as the chief did some, the chief did some, temporary signs on Main in Spanish and English about, being mindful of the bicycles on the road.
I'll link up with
those signs actually do work, because I remember when those signs first came out. I lived in DC, and they do work because people. It just reminds. It's kind of like slow down. Just when you have that slow down, people tend to slow down. Right? Not the 25 mile per hour sign. That does nothing for anybody. That means okay, I can go 35. So, but when you see slow down and you see the children's sign and the whole bit, people tend to adapt to that.
So is the consensus to ignore this ordinance on the books and just let it sit there? We'll put money in the budget for traffic consultant to do a full study in January and work with the chief to come up with some alternative ideas and routes for safe biking to suggest to bikers to use. Is that where everybody's at?
Yeah.
Versus repealing this.
I would hold it.
Okay, so we're gonna leave this on the books. It's gonna be ignored by everybody. Best as the law can be.
Wouldn't be the first time, Mayor.
Correct.
So we're not saying.
Shame on you, chief, for reading our E-code or code book.
There's other
And
stuff.
find- Yeah, find other stuff that's bad. And then we'll, at some point, it will be repealed and replaced as a full section.
We'll do message boards, we'll do.
And Bill is hearing this, so he knows that we need money for a traffic consultant in the borough, not in the planning board, but in the borough next year. Jay estimated to attend all of the parking meetings and do the traffic study just for the Union Hotel, but attend all the parking meetings as well was 7,000 was his estimate. This is gonna be a town-wide traffic study, it's gonna be different, so it's gonna probably be a lot more money. But as long as Bill knows, we just need to, that has nothing to do with, this is 100% traffic.
But planners can sometimes suggest adjustments to streetscape that would help the traffic. All I'm saying is you might want to talk to her. There may be some input there.
Possibly.
Also, in the meantime, meet up with Bill Hunter and.
Yeah, well, you're assigned to that. So
Yeah,
you're not
I have,
about that at the.
I have a meeting with them.
I would also, at every event that Robin's having, Ultimatum Theater, City Stroll, the Fiesta, the whole bit, I would get something in there that says about the new biking thing. So that people are aware, especially for the Hispanic community, just start by starting. Start by starting, even if it's a sheet that's just handing out saying, hey, because that's how it's gonna start. You gotta just over communicate.
Can I have a motion to table indefinitely ordinance 2024-16, please?
On the move.
For a second.
Parkinson.
Any other discussion?
Thank you,
Jerry, thank you very much for coming.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Ingleheart.
Yes.
Councilwoman Levitt.
Yes.
Council President Long.
Yes.
Councilman Parker.
Yes.
And Council Vice President Persing.
Yes.
Item 14, public hearing ordinance 2024-12, an ordinance creating the accessory building structure or use section. This is on the fences. Can I have a motion to open to the public?
On the move.
Is there a second?
Parkinson.
All in favor?
Aye.
This ordinance is now open to the public for public comment. Anybody from the public wishing to state on this ordinance, please raise your hand online or come up to the microphone in the room. Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I think we.
Oh, we do. We do. Oh,
Oh, now we got a hand.
they sure did.
It popped up.
This is, okay, these are comments only on ordinance 2024-12, which is a ordinance amending our fencing ordinance in town. If you are not speaking on this, please put your hand down. Mrs. Moore, do you want to, okay, thank you. All right, public hearing is now closed. Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-12?
Long move.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Ingleheart.
Yes.
Councilman Levitt.
Yes.
Council President Long.
Yes.
Councilman Parker.
Yes.
Council Vice President.
Yes.
And the ordinance is approved. Ordinance number 2024-13, 2024 salary ordinance, an ordinance to fix and determine the minimum and maximum base salaries of the mayor, council, and non-union employees of the borough of Flemington, County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey. This came about because we created a number of new positions that had to be added to our code. The public hearing, can I have a motion to open up the public hearing?
On the move.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing on ordinance number 2024-13 is now open to the public. Anybody wishing to speak on the salary ordinance, please raise your hand online or come up to the microphone in public. Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
On the move.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 2024-13?
Move.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Ingleheart.
Yes.
Councilman Levitt.
Yes.
Council President Long.
Yes.
Councilman Parker.
Yes.
And Council Vice President.
Yes.
The regular agenda, number 15 on the big agenda. Resolution number 2024-82, award of contract to Charles Mann, general contractor, 625 County Road, 513 Pittstown, for basement renovations to the Flemington Public Library. This was held from last month because our funds hadn't been received to certified by our CFO. Can I have a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Item number 11, resolution 2024-90, resolution approving the hiring of Elizabeth Gioloni as the Flemington Borough Deputy Treasurer. This position is a new position, and it is pending a background check and the 6-month probationary period being successfully met. Can I have a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second? Discussion?
I just wanted, did she go by Beth or Liz? She was here.
Liz.
I think Liz.
Thank you. I introduced myself, but I didn't know.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Item 12, resolution 2024-91, resolution authorizing the purchase of a vehicle for the sewer department from Pellegrino Chevrolet through ESCNJ contract 2324 NTE 60 for 6, not to exceed $63,915.75. Can I have a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I just had a couple questions.
Sure.
I just wanted to know what the background was on this. You know, we've had vehicles get into accidents. Was this a plan?
This was a planned purchase, and it's coming through the sewer department budget.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was on the record. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Resolution 2024-92, resolution authorizing the purchase of equipment for Ford Police K9 Interceptor for the police department from Elite Vehicle Solutions, state contract 17 Fleet 00749, not to exceed $35,371.68. And I believe, Chief, this amount of money is being donated.
Yes.
From a private individual who supports the police department.
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Item 14, resolution 2024-93, resolution authorizing the purchase of a vehicle for the police department from Promise Ford not to exceed $47,120. Can I have a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second? Any discussion?
I guess my same question would apply.
If it's
From
in
91.
If it's in the budget, to be purchased this year for the police department. Thank you. Roll.
This is a donation as well?
No,
No.
this is regular budget.
It is. Okay.
One car is one.
Councilwoman
What? I'm
Engelhardt?
sorry.
One car was a donation.
One car was a donation on here, one is.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Resolution 2024-94, resolution authorizing the purchase of equipment for a Ford Police K9 Interceptor for the police department from Elite Vehicle Solutions, state contract 17 Fleet 00749, not to exceed $26,592.35. This is also coming. The donation is reimbursing for this as well, right, Chief?
Yeah.
Okay. And a motion to approve.
Move.
Is there a second?
Parker.
Roll call, please. I'm sorry, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Okay, item 16, resolution 2024-95, resolution authorizing the purchase of a vehicle for the police department from Nielsen Ford through the Cranford Police Cooperative Pricing System contract 47-CPCPC, not to exceed $44,065. I have a motion to approve.
Move.
Is there a second?
Parker.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti.
Okay. It should be yes. 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 Resolution 2024-96, resolution authorizing the purchase of equipment for a 2023 Ford Police Interceptor from the Police Department from Elite Vehicle Solutions, state contract 17 Fleet 00749, not to exceed $28,330.11. And a motion approved.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
Any discussion?
I just have a question. This one, is this for the vehicle that we purchased last year? Or is this
No, this is for the one that we're purchasing now.
This is the equipment for.
Yeah, the equipment.
The new
It's the
equipment.
equipment.
No, but I mean, there was a lag last year. Where is that? Wasn't there vehicle purchased last
I
year?
think it was already approved.
There's three.
Okay. All right.
Roll call, please, Carl.
Sure. Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Resolution 2024-97, resolution appointing Bianca Watkins as interim court administrator, even though we have a shared court with Raritan Township, they do require us to approve this as well. I have a motion to approve.
Long will move.
Is there a second?
Parker said.
Any discussion?
I'm assuming this is because the person was there, moved on, and this is a new hire out for their part.
No, Bianca is the second year on.
So why is it as an interim? Like it's
Because she's still going through her certification.
Oh, so they call it interim
Yeah.
because of the certification. The name looked familiar, and I'm just a little confused as to the word interim.
No.
Any other discussion?
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Resolution 2024-98, resolution authorizing the purchase of a vehicle for the sewer department from Pellegrino Chevrolet through ESCNJ, contract 2224-11, not to exceed $76,000. Again, this is a planned purchase by them from the sewer budget. Can I have a motion to approve, please?
Long move.
Is there a second?
Parker second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Resolution 2024-99, resolution authorizing the 2024-2025 school tax payments to the Flemington Raritan Regional School. If you don't have a choice, can I have a motion to approve, please?
Long move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Resolution 2024-100, 2024 salary resolution. This is because you passed a new ordinance and now this concurs with it. Can I have a motion, please?
Long move.
Is there a second?
Parker second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker? And Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
And we're up to, thank you everybody
Thank you.
for all of that. We're up to item 16, public comment period number 2. Anybody wishing to address the council on any issue, please raise your hand if you're online. If you're in the audience, please come to the microphone. Do we have somebody?
Yeah.
Can you please limit it to 3 minutes on your comments?
Okay. Hello, everybody, members of the council. My name is Delphina Picchio. I live at 909 Yorkshire Drive, Flemington, New Jersey. I sent in a written public comment earlier today, and I wanted to make sure to be here as well. So I've been listening in to much of the discussion tonight about the ordinances, and well, I have a lot of things to say, but I only have 3 minutes. So I'm going to just start off by saying that I myself work in bicycle and pedestrian planning, not in Hunterdon County, but in a nearby county. So I am familiar with many of the conversations happening today. And I'll just start off by saying there are many issues that are being discussed that they need to be addressed in various ways. E-bikes are a whole new game that have their own conversation to be had. So I will just leave a suggestion of the New Jersey Bicycle and Pedestrian Research Center. They have compiled all the ordinances in the state of New Jersey that have to do with e-bikes. I highly recommend that the council does its research on any future ordinances regarding e-bikes. There is no clear answer yet, and a lot of municipalities are dealing with this. So do your research, and just want to address a couple of misconceptions and myths that I heard discussed tonight. First of all, you can't compare Lambertville to Flemington. They have a separated bike lane, AKA the tow path, that runs through the entirety of the town. If you built a protected bike lane running through the heart of our downtown, I guarantee you wouldn't have any more bicycle and pedestrian conflicts. I would like to point to the fact that there is a statewide 4-foot safe passing law. This is a great educational tool. This law was passed in 2022, and this is a great area to do signage on. Again, lots of information is on this online. Next, there are tons of funding opportunities right now for bicycle infrastructure. It is like the hottest time to be a municipality and apply for this funding. Specifically, you can look into the New Jersey DOT Department of Bicycle and Pedestrian Planning Technical Assistance. If you are granted this grant, the borough could get a consultant free of charge. A consultant who is a professional in these areas would come in and actually do studies, make recommendations, and it's a wonderful resource for municipalities that are willing really to make changes for their community. Lastly, I'm just going to leave it at this. I highly suggest the council and the police department take actions for real community engagement before creating more arbitrary ordinances. Putting up a sign at a Latino-based event, such as the Fiesta event coming up on June 22nd, is not the most appealing or inviting way to educate people. Please connect with Go Hunterdon and other local groups in the community that are involved with the residents and the people here, and other bicycle and pedestrian planners, AKA experts in this. As far as I know, the borough is lucky to have a lot of local roads where actions such as bike lanes could be implemented because they aren't state-owned. State-owned roads are a lot harder to work on, so I would really love to see the borough council do more research on this before passing more ordinances without having a clear idea of, what the experts, planners say in this, and also what how the community is behaving with bicycling and walking in town. Because also, people ride through Main Street and patronize businesses there. So if you tell people not to ride down Main Street, that's going to hurt a lot of local businesses as well. So I just want to say thank you for your time. And I hope we can all work together, maybe in some sort of task force for people that are interested in this and that are, have a stake in walking and biking in Flemington Borough. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We also have somebody else who has their hand up.
Shannon.
Hi, can you all hear me this time?
Yes. Is this Shannon Moore?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. Sorry, I had an issue earlier when you guys tried to get me on. So first I just wanted to give a shout out to the young person who spoke up earlier regarding bikes around here, and to let them know that they obviously have a lot of friends and other supporters who have a vested interest in this, as tonight has revealed. I also want to give a shout out to the...
excuse me, I need your address for the record, please.
Oh, my mistake, sorry. That is also 909 Yorkshire Drive in Flemington. And in addition to that, I wanted to give a shout out to the councilwoman who acknowledged that, again, simply moving people off of Main Street to other streets in the borough is not a real solution, considering that it is not safe on any of those other roads most days, as people also avoid Main Street in addition to the circles in an attempt to cut through town and try to get through traffic that way. Many of the council members and people who spoke tonight already said a lot of things that I would just be echoing, but just wanted to tie a couple of things together with my short time, that a couple of the hot button issues the council is discussing in terms of parking and local businesses struggling are also aided by making Flemington a safer cycling town. Obviously, local businesses benefit from pedestrians feeling safe. They also benefit from cyclists feeling safe and feeling safe to go onto Main Street and see all the new businesses with their own eyes. And people coming into town, as well as residents, would benefit from having cycling be a safer option, because that could actually free up many of the parking spaces that are becoming so critical for a lot of our current residents and new residents. So as we move towards that potential new discussion, which seems to be only at the start of next year, I just want the council to know that putting in cycling infrastructure doesn't just benefit a couple of hobbyists or kids on bikes or a handful of commuters. That brings a lot of economic benefit and a lot of value to the town, and would greatly impact the whole community. Again, not just a handful of hobbyists. So thank you guys for your time. That's all I had for tonight.
Thank you very much. Anybody else, Carla? I can't see that far. Okay. Anybody from the public in the room? Seeing none, public comment period is over. Payment of bills, item 17, authorizing payment of bills in the amount of $3,078,239.66. Can I have a motion, please? Is there a second?
That was second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Naylor? Yes. Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Vaughn?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President.
Yes.
Okay, it is 9:45. We do have an executive session to discuss negotiations Cardinal and Captiva. So let's take a very short break if possible.
Can we get a motion?
I need a motion to go into executive session. Thank you.
Long will move.
Is there a second? Yeah, it's about past my bedtime. So, yours. All right, so we're all in favor to go into executive session.
All right. We're good.
I think the VP is basically.
We're ready.
Okay, we're back in open session. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Long move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're adjourned.
Second.
Wait, Heather.
That's our favorite.
Good night, Carla.